Okay, we're recording.
All right. Well, I want to welcome everyone to the first board meeting of the Texas Association of Professional Bee Removers. I want to thank Chris for making this initial push for everyone. I'd like for the members, the board members here to introduce ourselves, and then afterwards we'll give a little bit of background behind how long we've been beekeeping, and just anything you want to say about yourself in your kind of a 1 minute blurb, your elevator introduction, and then we'll go into some of the things that we as a board need to get started on moving forward with the group. So I'll go ahead and start. My name is Rex Smith. I've been beekeeping for, I had to look at it earlier, 12 years now, and doing structural removals for between 10 and 11 years. It's been my full-time vocation for about the last 7 years. Bees in some way, shape, or form. Main income being from removals, and then more recently has been from selling nukes and doing management of other people's hives and ag valuation contracts as well. That's all I've got for me right now. Our VP is not here, Michael Lopez. Next on our list is Secretary Brandon. Would you like to give a intro of yourself?
Yeah, hey, well, first, I'm like, thanks everybody for showing up. This is really cool. I know this kind of started out as like a conversation and kind of progressed to being like an actual real thing. I think this is really cool. And I'm Brandon, by the way. Brandon Fahrenkamp. I've been doing removals. Good gosh, I think I did my first one in 2006 or so. If I remember right, Eve, I totally botched it, didn't really know what I was doing. I mean, kind of, we all start out doing something goofy. And this is like back before there were kind of there wasn't even really many good resources on the internet for doing bee vacuums back then. I kind of had to ad-lib it and kind of figure stuff out the hard way a lot of times. But luckily stuff's progressed since then, and there was a lot of good resources. And, I don't know, I'm in Austin here. Well, I'm actually north of Austin. I'm kind of live up by Georgetown now, but I work down a lot in Austin, and I'm picking up doing ag valuation contracts this year. And I don't know if that was a really good about me. I'm just like excited that everybody's here, and just kind of looking forward to some cool stuff we can do with the group and things like that. So. But yeah, I guess we can pass it on to the next person. I don't know if that was the greatest intro, but hi to everybody.
Well, thank you, Brandon. Our next is Fisher. Brittany, go ahead and.
Hey everyone, I'm Brittany. I'm located in Austin. I'm in South Austin. I got into bees because my husband likes to make mead, and it's very expensive to buy honey for his non-ending mead needs. And so I was like super afraid of bees my whole life. I'd never actually been stung, and I had one of those complete irrational fears. And then I guess I was just like, after years, I finally felt like I was being a really bad wife after like a decade of him wanting hives. So I said, yeah, we can get a hive. And then from there, it just kind of became my obsession. I got really into it. Actually, my first hive was a cutout, and then from there, it just kind of went crazy. Just started doing cutouts and bees and everything. And this is my first year is like doing beekeeping for a living. And so this year I got like 4 ag clients and did like 50 cutouts and sold a bunch of nukes. So just, yeah, full time in it now.
Good deal. Thank you, Brittany. All right, next we've got our membership director, Chris Barnes.
That would be me. Well, let's see. My wife pushed me into keeping bees back in, I guess it was 2013. This was totally her idea. She's kind of a prepper. It's maybe an understatement. She wanted 2 hives, but she signed us up to go to the Central Texas Beekeeping School. I wasn't really going to go until I found out she spent like $100 on the tickets, and I'm kind of cheap, so I didn't want to waste them. Well, the first class I went to was Dennis Abear talking about how you can get an ag exemption for your property taxes by keeping bees. And I was sold from that class on. But, you know, my wife wanted 2 hives, so I found out we needed 6. And we bought the first one. We bought a newt from E.T. Ash here in College Station. But then probably 2-3 months later down the road, we needed 6 hives for our property. And Scott Turner, who has been somewhat involved in this group a little bit, told me he was doing a cutout here in College Station and asked me if I wanted to come help him out. And I wanted to learn because I've been watching JP the B-Man's videos, which I guess is how a lot of us kind of learn. That's actually a pretty good way to learn. Usually I don't recommend YouTube as an educational tool, but that guy's pretty good. Yeah. And he's entertaining too. But anyway, Scott let me bring the bees home and he paid me half the money. And so I kind of went, okay, so you can get bees out and make money both ways because, you know, I'm getting the money, the bees are making me honey, and that's how we got started. I've been doing removals ever since. And I think I'm up to 55 hives now or so. So I guess I'm solidly a sideliner. Most of my hives are doing ag valuations for other people's property. I may change how I'm doing those contracts because that's basically just a break-even proposition at best. But when we started the keeping bees, there was no bee club here in Bryan College Station. So I kind of was the instigator, I might say, to getting the club here in Bryan College Station started. So now I'm I was the first president, but I happily turned that over to other people. But I'm the youth program director because we have a youth program here in our club too. So I do that. This is going to be my first year to do beekeeping as a full-time job, mostly because I was kind of forced into retirement with layoffs at Texas A&M where I had been working. As far as this group is concerned, this kind of started mostly from a conversation that Brandon and I had probably 2 years ago, I think, when somebody tried to get some legislation passed. And fortunately, we were able to get together enough random people to get it shut down. But we had started talking about how it might be good to have an actual real representative group that could speak for us, that had some authority behind it, to nix stuff like this in the future. So when we had our beekeeping school last year, not in 2019, in 2018, I invited pretty much all the people that I knew that did beekeeping or did removals to our bee school to come and have a meeting to talk about how we should organize, or if we should organize into a professional organization. And that's kind of what started this ball rolling. Some of it was Brandon, some of it was me, some of it was Rex. Ryan did a lot of it. Some other people too. We had meetings. I think we had 2 meetings up around Dallas, 1 in Houston, 2 in Austin, plus the one that started it all here in Bryan College Station.
All right. Well, thank you. As an organization that we have now formed, as Chris mentioned, some of the things that were instrumental in pushing the group to represent ourselves was the fact that somebody had tried to propose legislation that affected us directly in the way that we would do business, and education that would be required, and the fact that this person likely wanted to be the one person in the state who was providing that education. We all said no. That's not the way it's going to work. If someone's going to represent us, it's going to be us representing us. So here we are. As president of our organization, there's some things that we need to take care of in, still as we're getting the ball rolling for us. I've got some things that I had sent to Chris. Chris has some items that he's going to mention as well. I'll say that one of the things that I've been doing in the last 2 months is monitoring Legiscan. You can monitor basically any state's proposed bills for keywords. So I've been monitoring Texas Legiscan for this legislative session for words that would pop up in our industry, such as the word honeybee, the word structural, structure, bee, pesticide, honey, just anything that might affect us. And so far to date, I haven't seen anything that has popped up in this legislative session. So that's good. Just know that I do keep an eye on it, and us as a board, I hope will also. Another thing that we're going to need to talk about is bank account. We're going to have some expenditures for, keeping the organization going. So whoever needs to sign on it, we need to figure out, the logistics of how we're going to do that with us being spread across the state. Something we'll talk about is what we envision for the website to represent to us, to the public, and to our own organization and our members, and have it be a nice professional looking place for people to get information on someone to locally do the work for them that's a member of our trade organization. And then let's see, I'm looking at my list here. I think that's what I had. Chris had more. So Chris, would you like to?
Yeah, just as I've actually been writing stuff down as you've talked, because it reminded me of stuff that it's just kind of a working agenda for stuff to talk about tonight. I had the website down. I'd like to talk about membership criteria, because that's to me, that's one of the first things we need to talk about is how we approve members into our organization. And related to that would also be what kind of membership fees we're going to charge. The bank account I had written down as well. And related to that, I was kind of, and this is probably more for me to catch up on stuff than anything, or anybody else too, what kind of paperwork we need to finish being officially organized. I know we have a IRS EIN number, but I don't know if we're officially a 501c6 organization. I think we had to have, before you can have that, I think you have to have ratified bylaws and a board of directors, which that was the last thing we needed, was us, before we could have the 501c6 paperwork turned in to make us official. So that's probably going to be the next thing that Brandon, secretary, I'm guessing that's going to be what you get to do. That's all I've got on the agenda for now. I think that might be enough for first meeting.
With you already having an EIN for us, do we need to fill out an initial just info return to the IRS for last year?
Probably. In fact, I'm sure we will. Since we had zero income, it'll just be that little postcard sized, well, I think it's a 900 number form or something like that. It's just basically our name, our number, and stating we had no income.
Okay.
It's about 5 seconds to fill out, but yes, we do need to send one of those in.
And who's that going to be allocated to?
In most of the other organizations I'm in, that paperwork usually falls on the treasurer, because when you're reporting to the IRS, you have to tell them how much income you have. This year, obviously, it can be anybody. I
don't
guess
mind
one
taking
other
care
thing
of
I
that.
need to put is mention the Google Drive. It's where we have all of these documents already saved. Does everybody on the board already have access to the Google Drive for sure? Have you been able to look in and you can get in?
Yes.
Brittany kind of made a face.
I haven't tried.
Do try.
Okay, I'm on it.
I haven't tried recently, but I'm sure that I can.
Yeah. It's really easy. I used y'all's direct Gmail address. So if you just go to drive.google.com, there'll be a link on the left which says shared by me or shared to me. You click on that, and the way I organized the Google Drive was I just, in the base root directory is just one folder that says Texas Association of Professional Beekeepers, and everything is under that. So there's multiple subdirectories under that, but there's just one directory in that root file.
Yeah, I'm able to get in. I just checked.
Okay. There's some stuff in there, but obviously that's, at least in my local club, that's what we use to store all of our club stuff. That way, as we turn over board members, we're not having to pass files to the next person and all that stuff. We just change the permissions on the drive.
Okay. Something else that we probably need to think about is having a scheduled time for our board meetings, whether it be monthly. Now, we're going to have other communication between each other in addition to our regular board meetings. So don't think that's the only time you can communicate. I want us all to be, have open communication with what's going on. And if we're having challenges on schedules, let's talk about it. And if we need to take another day for meetings and anything like that. So something that I'll probably look at doing this next week is emailing us on our email list, and we'll come up with a day of the month that we think right now that everyone can be active. We want our officers to be active. If it winds up being that someone's not able to make it, in our bylaws, we have, if you miss 3 meetings consecutively, your position can be replaced. So,
Hey, sorry, before we move on, can we go back? The IRS paperwork, did we actually make a decision on who's filing it, or am I filing it?
we did not make a decision.
I moved. Brittany files it.
I will note that I need to file that. And I am not familiar with the paperwork. Is it in?
Let me open up a tab on my computer in another screen.
I can just work with you outside this meeting for what I need to file.
Okay.
Is that,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, we can
sounds good.
definitely do it
Okay.
that way.
Okay, yeah. So that way we don't take up time in the meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't mind actually filing this stuff as long as I can get in there to the drive and do it. That's not that big of a deal. I did want to bring up one other thing though that's kind of cool. So how to summarize this quickly. So I am a member of an organization called Calix. And so the way that it works is that a long time ago, some company that got acquired by, I think it was Sprint, had written into their contract that's grandfathered, and it really isn't like they can't just delete it or change it, that any nonprofit organization can get Wi-Fi data over the Sprint network. You have to pay for it, of course, but it's really inexpensive, but it's unlimited data, which is pretty cool. So you can get a hotspot and you can have basically unlimited data on it. I have one of those and it works great and I love it. And I can take my computer with me if I'm in town, if I'm doing removals or like whatever. It's like really nice to have like really solid internet where I'm not like running up my phone bill to like a crazy amount. We actually would be able to, as a nonprofit, I believe, I'm going to look into it more, but would be able to get that kind of as a perk, possibly. So it's something
Perk of
I
being
do
a
a little more
member?
research, but huh?
A perk of being a member?
Yeah, it would be a perk of being a member of the Texas Association of Professional Bee Removers, that we would be able to have that as like a kind of a cool perk, that like we can get really inexpensive internet a month. I mean, it would be, I think you can get it downwards of like something silly like $25 or $30 a month, but it's unlimited and it's on a Wi-Fi hotspot. Or I mean, you can pull the SIM card out and stick it in whatever device you want to. But I use mine all the time to be able to get, because half the time you've got to reply to people who are emailing you and all this kind of other stuff. And it's between it for my home internet, because I'm out in the country and I use it as my home internet. And what it cuts down on my phone bill, because I just Wi-Fi hotspot whenever I need to use a bunch of data, it saves me, oh gosh, I want to say it's like $120 or something like that a month. It saves me a ton of money to just go through that. So anyway, it's something that if y'all think we might be interested in, I could look more into it, but it's just kind of a cool perk that would kind of, I think, help everybody out, because most all of us are like out in the field all summer long, and like having good internet out there is kind of priceless in a way. So
What is the program called again?
I forget what the actual name is, because the organization that I'm a member of, Calix, is one of those things. Like, you join their organization, and because you join their organization, then you get the perk of having the Wi-Fi. But there's a step but we would essentially become a quote unquote organization similar to what Calix does. And so if you joined us and you pay your dues, then you would have, we would be able to add people onto the plan and have like unlimited data for them. I can get more details for it later, but it's just essentially it would give everybody really cheap internet access via like you would have a SIM card that then you can go put that in a Wi-Fi hotspot device. I don't think you could use it in a phone, but you can use it in like a Wi-Fi hotspot device and have essentially unlimited data internet. I mean, I've used it for games. I've used it to download huge files to like stream movies and stuff on, and all kinds of things like that. And it, normally people that do that, like RV people and other stuff like that, end up paying out the wazoo for it, because you're getting charged per gigabyte per data. And this is unlimited, and they can't throttle you either. That's the thing. It's written into the contract where they, because that's another like kind of sleazy trick that like AT&T and other places pull. They give you quote unquote unlimited data, but after you go over a certain cap, they slow it down to a degree that you can't essentially use it anymore. This doesn't do that. Like I say, I've downloaded tons of stuff, and it's actually written into the contract that they can't throttle you at all. So I can get more details if people are interested. And basically, to sum it up in a nutshell, it would give all of us the ability to pitch in and have really inexpensive Wi-Fi hotspots to use, especially while we're working. I mean, that's the thing. This is going to be my first big summer and spring having this thing in the field that I'm really looking forward to, because it enabled me to bring my full laptop with me. And half the time when you're doing a removal and you need to get on and you need to bill somebody or you need to reply to emails and stuff, I hate doing that over my phone. I'd much rather have a real computer and be able to do it. And, half the time you go to a coffee shop and their Wi-Fi doesn't work and all this kind of other stuff. And it kind of would help out with all of that. So anyway, just a thought. If y'all are interested in, you can hit me up and let me know, and I can look more into it.
I will say that I think that would definitely be a good perk to offer to members, to have access to that. I myself, my personal cell phone service, they turned off my ability to use my phone as a hotspot. So yeah, if I can do that for, $30-$40 a month or something, and not have to pay $50 a month for another cell phone.
Yeah.
Well, since Brandon brought it up, one of the things that I wanted to talk about was membership criteria. And under that, I had membership perks.
Yeah.
So can we talk about other perks too?
Absolutely.
From previous meetings, one of the obvious ones that we talked about was trying to get like an insurance company that could I don't know if y'all have had as much trouble as I have trying to find an insurance company that understands what bee removals actually is. I think Texas Insurance might have started coming around, but I'm not sure about that.
They have, it's almost twice as much as their regular policy, but I've got a policy that covers my removals now.
Okay, well, I've got one from them too. How much, if you don't mind me?
I'm
I'll
thinking
pause the recording if you want.
for my particular case, they're charging me, I think it's about $950 a year.
Okay, because mine I think is just under 600 a year.
Wow.
Do you do repairs?
What's your definition of repair? Because an insurance definition is different than mine.
Yeah.
If you're putting it back together, they call it a repair.
Right.
So repair is fixing something so that it doesn't happen again, and new materials and stuff like that. But
Okay, because I don't do that.
I'll put their soffit back together,
Yeah.
and if they pay me more, then I'll go get fresh material if it's rotten or something like that. But
Right.
yes, by their definition, I do repairs.
Okay. Well,
They're actually billing me as if I were a pest control operator.
I would love it if we could find somebody who actually knows how policies are written, like the underwriter side of things, and talk to them about how to get something written specifically for what we do.
And then get the company to give us like a bulk people discount or something.
Well, right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
would be so nice.
We then turn around and say, okay, well, we have, 200 members or 5,000 members or whatever we have. And you're the company we're going to recommend for the policies. So you have to cut us a deal for all of our members.
Yeah. That'd be a great perk, I think.
That's one that everybody brought up almost every single meeting. Now, part of the trick is finding somebody either within our organization or even outside our organization, finding that right person to talk to who knows how policies are written, who can do something for us like that. And I don't even know who that person might be.
I don't either. I could contact my agent because I ran into a bit of a weird thing with Texas Insurance back in the day, that I had a policy with them and the policy lapsed by like a week or something. I got busy and forgot to renew it. It was like it renewed in the middle of winter or something. If I remember right, I was just like busy and I went to go, hey, I need another policy, and the guy that was their agent just straight up told me like that company doesn't want to do bee policies anymore, and which was Union Standard. They said Union Standard doesn't want to do bee policies anymore. We can only do policies now with this newer company. They're letting anything that lapses on our old programs. They're just not renewing them anymore because they want to get out of that. And I go, that's funny. And I called Union Standard directly, and Union Standard was like, it was like a kind of a oh shit moment for them. They were like, what did they tell you again? And they were like flabbergasted, and they were like, no, we still want to do those policies. That guy wasn't telling you the truth. And so after that, I never went with them again. I don't mean to like badmouth them, but that was my personal experience. I could dig the emails up somewhere. I still have them. But I contacted them directly, and Union Standard will do policies. They do a standard contractor policy, but I've been assured, because I've asked them point blank multiple times, that if something happens in the course of your removal, like I forget how exactly they word it, but it's something along the lines of like, as long as the point being that it was okay under the policy, the existing policy which is significantly cheaper, to still do removals. I can contact that agent and see, and maybe they would be willing to work with me. And because I was able to get a Union Standard contract through Frost, which is my bank, I would be more than happy to reach back out to them and see. I also have a guy that does my regular auto insurance and stuff like that, who's like this kind of insurance wizard guy that I've been with for a really long time. I could potentially reach back out to him, and he might know somebody that would know where to talk to about the lingo and things like that. So anyway, just FYI, I didn't mean to like badmouth him. I ran into that problem before, and I'm not trying to I don't want to get into some sort of debate about like, well, this covers that or whatever, because you're probably right. But at the end of the day, I have it in writing that they told me that what I did was okay. So if it had to fall back on a policy question, I could like be like, hey, y'all told me literally here in this email that I have in writing that what I'm doing is okay. So
well, I think you're definitely further ahead than I was.
Yeah.
As far as I think what we might need to do is have them develop a couple of different types of policies for us. Like one policy might be for somebody who does full-blown reconstructions. Another policy might be for somebody like me that, will take a soffit apart, but I don't even put soffits back together. I tell the homeowners that you need to do that after the fact, because I like leaving the thing open for a day or two to let the other bees in the neighborhood come in and clean everything out.
Hey, Brandon, do you mind sharing how much you're paying on your policy?
I could look it back up. I want to say it was like $600 or $700.
Okay, so it sounds
Whatever.
analogous to the range that Chris's Texas Insurance is in. Okay. So
Yeah,
I think it would be good to look into like everyone who is happy with the coverage they have and the company they're using. Like, a starting point is we could pull all those policies, kind of like review if we think each of those policies like fit the needs of what we're looking for as an org and how much, everyone's paying for those policies, and kind of like work with the company. I mean, so insurance companies have a vested interest as well to like cut us the best deal if we're pitting them against each other. So that's another like leveraging idea we could use. Like, hey, this insurance company is offering us this at this rate. What are you guys willing to offer?
Yeah, totally.
Brandon, if you're willing to take that on, I would love that.
Okay. Yeah.
Brittany, either one.
I can reach out to them and see. I'm writing this down. Yeah, I could definitely just check and kind of check on the wording and other things of stuff. Because I mean, essentially, at the end of the day, what we do is not really that different than any home contractor. Yeah, there's the added element of the danger with the bees and other things like that. But I mean, we're construction-wise, we're not really any different from somebody who does just handyman kind of stuff and fixes, random
or less.
Stuff. Yeah, exactly, or less. So the people like me, I don't really do repairs because I don't have time to. I'm moving on to the next job and doing other things, and like, it's easier to find. There's, a bunch of people who can fix a soffit in a house. There's not that many people that can remove bees. So I move on to the next thing, and then recommend somebody or work with their repair person to get it fixed.
So I know we were talking about perks that we want to offer members, but while I was thinking about this, Chris, you had mentioned like perks and requirements kind of the same vein. And I'm in favor of saying like proof of insurance is like a requirement. Like basically if you're going to be professional, you need to be insured. And maybe that's something that we can kind of do. Like we're offering like discounted insurance. It's like you want to join the org, like either, show proof of your own insurance, or here's like the insurance company we're like getting discounts through and you can sign up with them. Just an idea. I don't know how everyone feels about that though.
Actually, let's see.
I can see it maybe being a membership level thing. We've got our guys who do swarm catches, as on one level.
Definitely not for them. They don't need insurance.
And then maybe there's like a platinum removal list of these. We know these people have insurance, and I don't know. It's possibilities of different membership levels.
Well, yeah. I don't really want to get into the entire membership vetting thing today because I think that might be a meeting by itself.
Okay.
But in the Google Drive, under the bylaws and organizational documents, there's a document under there called membership vetting criteria.
Yeah, I've seen that.
That we'd already started kind of outlining stuff. Now, obviously, that's a working document. It's not anything official because that had to be something that we, the board, had to go through and decide on. but we kind of outlined stuff that we were talking about.
Last time I looked at it, it didn't have any like insurance requirements on it. I just,
Yeah,
and this is like one person's opinion, and obviously no one has to agree with this. I personally feel like when we say we're like the professional group of removers, like we probably should be insured. I mean, like, you know, people who are like, not the swarm people, but the people who are like representing themselves within the org to do structural cutouts, like, you're gonna act like you're professional, like you probably should be insured. That's my own opinion, and no one has to agree with that, by
you
the
know,
way.
I actually thought that was in this document, but looking at it, I don't see it.
No,
Right.
that's because Texas is very much a state that enjoys having people be self-employed. And so we don't have licensed contractors in Texas. Like a lot
Right.
California does, Georgia does, Florida does. But you know, anybody with a pickup truck can you know, replace a roof in Texas. So,
Right.
so it's a case of, do we want to tell people how to do business? I don't think so. At the same time, I would like for people representing our industry to be the utmost in service to our customers, so that we don't get a bad name either. Do I want them to have insurance? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I
don't
kind
know.
of think that as well. I feel the same as you. Like, you can be a bee remover, like that's fine. But if you're gonna like claim to be like the professional, like I know that there are like roofers that are not insured and whatever, but I'm always gonna hire. I would hire an insured roofer. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like a consumer's choice. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to get a sidetrack and like a hot topic discussion.
Okay, I found where it is. I found where
I
it
think
is.
it's important. I was thinking of along the lines of this, though. It's kind of the way to do all of that. And I agree, you know, we don't want to change. We're not here to go change a bunch of laws or do anything like that. I mean, that goes kind of, that was one of the big things when we
Right. No,
together.
no laws.
But
Absolutely.
the way that I see it is like, we should have kind of a code of conduct or code of ethics.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the way, I think the easiest way to go about thinking about that, picture that you have a friend that lives out of state, or maybe they live really, really far away from you, and they're a good friend of yours or an old friend, and they need to get a bee removal done, but they're like, you know, 5-hour drive away from you, and there's no way you can go to see them and help them out with their bee removal. But they're asking like, hey, what do I need to ask somebody for criteria that would make sure that they're legit? And then like, we all need to just be that person, you know what I'm saying? Like, be prepared, have references, you know, should be able to show your work, be able to explain things clearly. Like, and I think like putting that up on our like website, or like, you know.
Actually, Brandon, can I interrupt you?
Yeah.
Article 5 of our bylaws is code of ethics.
Okay, perfect.
I knew it was in here somewhere. It actually doesn't say they have to have insurance, but there are several things in here that, and this is what the entire group actually already approved.
I mean,
so if we want to change it, we'll have to go through the amendment process.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we should require like insurance to be able to join, but I think we should like put it in the bylaws and like as like, but you know, we wouldn't, or some sort of way to say it, that it's like, hey, you know, you don't have to have insurance to join this organization, but you know, it's irresponsible if you are doing professional paid removals to do it without insurance, or something along the lines of that.
But we're also saying that this organization requires you to be getting professionally paid. You know, like one of the requirements to be in this org is you have to charge, you have to be professionally paid. So maybe it's like you don't have to have it to be admitted, but like maybe it has to be like you have to have it to remain a member in good standing, and you get like a review at 6 months or a year, or I don't know, something.
That's actually in the bylaws too.
Okay. Shows how thoroughly I've read those bylaws recently.
I haven't looked at them that hard in a while either, so don't feel bad.
That's why I mentioned maybe having a different membership level, or, you know, say, you know, this group of removers that are members have shown that they have insurance to cover their work, And so they get a platinum star or a gold star next to their member name or something, you know.
Well, the bylaws do already specify that we have 2 membership levels.
Right.
One level is for people that just do swarm removal. I think it's called non-structural.
Yeah. And then the structural removers.
I don't remember the exact wording, but in the ethics clause, number 6, it's kind of a wide open statement, but it says conduct business in a professional manner. Now that, while it's not defined there, that could certainly be taken to mean you should have insurance.
Yeah, I think as it's written, that is not covered in the scope of that, and that's much too open to interpretation. So if like, even like, honestly, like as that's written, like that would hold up in like 0 court for what conduct professional manner even means, you know, like.
Right. Well,
so whatever we want that specific clause to be, whatever we view aside from insurance, whatever you conduct in a professional manner, I think we need to define that more regardless of, you know.
well, don't forget, this doesn't have to, it's not a document that we have to defend in court. This is just what we use for our own members.
Yeah.
So we're the ones that get to decide what it means.
I agree with that. There is always that person, like, let's just pretend only because we live in the United States of America and have literally seen people do this, like someone doesn't get in to the association for whatever reason and they use whatever clauses to justify. Yeah, I'm just saying, like,
I know.
it may be something we might consider, like fleshing out any areas of ambiguity in our documents.
The problem with that is you'll never get to the point where you flesh out all ambiguity.
I agree with that. I agree.
And some things we intentionally made ambiguous.
Okay.
So that we
Yeah.
have a floating definition, you know.
Okay.
For example, the perform live removals whenever possible. That gives us a little fudge room for those times where, and Brandon's talked about this too, you know, like where you show up and EMS is out there and they've got people around and the bees are attacking people. And sometimes, you know, you just need to break out the soapy water and get them. That's not what we want to do, but, you know, sometimes it's required, but it shouldn't be your standard course of action.
It's not a selling point.
Yeah, and that's kind of what that code of ethics was supposed to cover. It's standard actions.
Okay, so I definitely got us sidetracked, and it sounds like we're not wanting to make a decision on insurance required or not. To get us back on track from where I interrupted, you were talking about benefits.
Perks, yes.
Yes.
One of the perks, and I think I've mentioned this to a couple of people. I don't know that I've said it in a meeting or not, but in the website listing or on the website, my eventual dream goal is that we have enough members built in that we go to the Texas Apiary Inspection Service and tell them, you know what, why don't you just point everybody to our list?
Oh my gosh, that'd be awesome.
And you know what? I really think they would like that because they don't like dealing with removals.
They wouldn't have to manage that list,
Well, they don't have to manage it, but they don't like dealing with the complaints. You know, any person in the public who has a removal done and they have a complaint, they end up calling the Apiary Inspection Service. Well, they're not in charge of removals.
And neither is the Pest Control Board.
And neither is the Pest Control Board. That's correct. So I think they would be happy to give up that list. So that basically that becomes a perk of membership is you get to be on our list. And I've got a couple, it's going to take some creative web programming to get this to happen, Um, but one of the things that I would like to do, different from what the apiary inspection service does now, is currently you send in your $35 check and you just list all the counties where you work. What I would like to see us do is you send us your membership check and you list all the counties where you work, but you list one of them as your home county. And that way, when, Joe Q Public goes to the website and says, I need a bee remover person in Bastrop County, the people who list Bastrop County as their home get moved to the top of that list. It still lists everybody who listed Bastrop County, but you list those home county people, but you only get to list one county as your home.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes it, well, it's easier on us too, because frankly, I would rather do bee removals in Brazos County than have to go, to Milam County or somewhere else where I'm having to drive. I don't know about you guys, but maybe you're used to driving all over the place, Rex. I think you probably do. Oh, we lost your sound, Rex.
I drive where the money is.
Yeah. Well, I understand that too. But that's one
really
of the ideas
hard.
I had about the website as a perk, that then becomes that's then cheap advertising. If somebody wants to just be on the swarm, just catch swarms, they may pay us, $10, $15 a year, whatever we decide, just so that they get to be on that list, so that when there's a swarm in somebody's backyard, they might get called. That's pretty cheap advertising.
Well, and another thing too, I think would be good to put on there would be to just kind of put general guidelines for the consumer, basically, of what you, again, going back to this friend, but what that's going to do if we do that, that's probably going to be one of the only, I don't know, I haven't searched for it, but that to me would probably be one of the only resources on the net that kind of breaks it down, like, oh, so you need a bee removal, this is the stuff that you need to look for, this is what you need to look out for, this is blah 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 blah. That's going to get shared a lot. That's going to blow up on Google, because people out of state are going to go, these are great guidelines. Somebody in Virginia or something might go, that the Texas Beekeepers Association, or I can't ever say it right, sorry, especially when I get to talking, the TAPBR, they got a great site of like what to look for in a bee remover. Like, they're going to start linking to it. That's going to blow us up in Google, and that will be good advertising without us having to do a lot of like extra stuff. I would think. I don't know.
I hope it is. That's part of good website design, is that if you're John Q Public and going to the website, hopefully it will take you there nice and quick, and you don't have to hunt for what you're looking for. But the first thing I want them to look at is, okay, are these honeybees or are they yellow jackets?
Yeah.
Is it a colony or is it a swarm? Now, obviously, probably 60% of the people are just going to ignore everything and just go straight to the list.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. If we can get 40%, I'm thrilled. I think that's a really high goal, actually.
No, I agree.
I want to caution also that if we ask the apiary inspection service for, control over listing removers and swarm catchers, are we also taking on the responsibility of taking complaints from the public? And if we do, that becomes a whole new ball of wax.
Yeah, I think we would have to in that instance. And like, I also think like we would have a complaint threshold that if you hit X complaints, like you get put on probation or kicked out or something like that.
Or two, just to honestly, at the end of the day, too, this sounds kind of weird, but to help people in general, too. somebody's seriously having problems and they're like honestly trying to be like a cool person and get better, then like I think it would be awesome, because there'd be a huge host of people with advice to be like, hey, well, do this next time, do that next time. Maybe, you know, your gear is not good in this regard, like get this piece of equipment, or, you know, write this into your contract, or let your customers know this, this, and this. They didn't know that and they got confused, you know, that we would be kind of helping each other as well too, not just kind of like you better do great removals, because let's be honest, every single one of us has probably had some bad where the people kind of ended up where they didn't quite fully understand, or they assumed this was going to go this way, and then just reality wasn't that way, and they get mad, or, you know, whatever. And I mean, any customer service business is going to have that customer that just freaks out or does weird stuff.
For sure. Yeah.
So, you know.
But I also feel like if you have a history of like 10 complaints, I don't know what the number should be, like 10 complaints in your, like, or some amount, like, yeah, maybe you're like not learning, you know, or, you know, you're really not educating your customers, or there's something going on with how you're interacting with your customers that, you know, a significant amount. I mean, because even like the amount of people who like actually call in complaints is like not even representative of the amount of people who are like disappointed with service. Like like the amount of times that I've been like, I'm not super happy with this has been like probably 100 to like one time I've actually called in a complaint because it was like so bad. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I do think that we should have like a help people like program, but I also think that like Rex was saying, like if we're going to take on the responsibility of maintaining lists, ultimately we are going to take on the responsibility of fielding complaints. That just kind of goes with the territory. And
I agree.
I think there should be like some level of like, okay, you seriously have like issues and you're not like following guidelines. And I don't know what that looks like, but there should be a threshold for that.
Yeah, it's telling the person doing the removal to take care of the business with their customer, you know?
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, and then if like some sort of I mean, because if the customer is like calling in to the association, like they're gonna, some certain amount of complaint should possibly trigger like probation, or I don't know, you know what I mean? Like 10 complaints. I don't know how many complaints, you know, but I feel like it's unfair to the customer and the organization if we're like, we're representing ourselves as professionals, and like a whole bunch of people are like really upset about like one person's removals or whatever, and you know, we keep recommending that remover. Like, it's kind of like unfair to them, the remover, for us not to like help them like meet the organization standards, and it's unfair to their clients as well, I think.
One of the things that we considered when we made our code of ethics was that there are some companies here in the Dallas area. We've got 2 different companies, that actually 3, because one of them operates under 2 names, but they do a bait and switch. You know, they sell the customer on doing the live removal, and they show up and, oh no, these bees are all Africanized, we have to kill them. So they spray them. It's and it's common practice for these 2 companies.
Wow, that's terrible.
Operation.
I guarantee that happens in Houston and San Antonio and Austin too.
Yeah,
I've dealt with some crazy bees and never killed them. I'm just like, okay, your bees are happening after hours when no one's here. Like, your bees are crazy.
Well, there's also lead removal services as well too, like Adkins and other stuff like that, that I think aren't legally quote unquote disingenuous, but I think when the general public kind of gets a hold of it, it is kind of disingenuous. It's not that they're doing something illegal, but it's that they, you know how those guys work, where they have a website, they do everything in their power to bump that website to the top of Google search, so that when you call them, you go, hey, I live in El Campo, Texas, and I need some bee removal. They go, oh, we'll have one of our people right over. And they literally put you on hold. They go for the phone book, and I picture they have this giant yellow pages out, and they look up somebody in your area that they know that they can do an extermination. They call them and say, yep, we have somebody right over. And then they charge you double what the exterminator would have charged. and they have a front of looking like they're a bee removal service, but when in fact they're just calling other people. They don't actually do the service, and they're always really fast at it, because let's be honest, that's the thing that everybody wants. They don't care if you're going to do it right or good or whatever. They're like, oh, you can be here 3.5 minutes sooner than this other guy. I'm going to hire you, because they think they're getting kind of like a gallon of gas, you know, like it's going to be uniform and standard, but they don't realize. And I've had, man, every single time they get a call back, well, they just showed up and they killed all the bees, and now I'm left with this big mess. And we paid them a bunch of money. Will you come out for free and look at this and fix the problem? Like literally, I get asked that at least 2 times every season.
Hey, Brandon, will you come out for free and take all this poison out of my house and all these maggots and this dead honeycomb? Come on, why won't you?
Yeah. And so, I think it's important for like the consumer to kind of be educated on like what a lead removal service is. Because once you know what they are, they're easy to spot. And, you know, the other thing is too, is that if somebody, I remember one time a guy came, and the people that came and they like literally showed up and like sprayed air conditioner coil cleaner on the bees to kill them, or weird stuff. And you know, the problem is then you have nobody. You call that company that you originally called, that you paid, and say, hey, you know, y'all screwed this up, you know, you need to fix this. And they go, whoa, we subcontracted that out to somebody, you got to take it up with them. And they give you a rando number of whoever they called, and then now you're playing paper chase. I mean, it's just, I think educating the public to like that kind of stuff is like really important, just so that they know like what that is, you know. Anyway, I don't mean to like derail it, but I think that would be definitely something to put to kind of help educate the public that, you know, we're not a lead remover service. You're going to contact this person directly, and they are going to be responsible directly for the removal and anything else and all this kind of stuff.
Well,
That's an excellent idea. So you're the secretary. Are you taking notes for the meeting?
Yeah.
Excellent.
And
that's why we record the meeting too.
Yeah.
I've got 2 things I want to add to this part. One, if I can remember everything here, Brittany, you mentioned that by our existing, we're kind of going to be the de facto place that complaints come.
Yeah, we are. I believe
I agree.
that. Yeah.
I totally agree with that. And whether we want to be or not, I think we need to get something in place to prepare a way to handle those calls. Now, I'm not sure where those calls are going to come to.
I think that our system should be email based. I don't think we should have a dial-in number for people, because that's difficult for someone. Like, it's going to be one of us, like, or a bee remover in the field, like, is going to be fielding calls for a removal that they know nothing about, a person they might not know anything about, in a city they know, you know, like, I think it should all be handled by email personally.
Well, the real tough question then, the $64,000 question, is who gets to deal with those complaints?
We should make a committee for that.
And I think that's a good idea. Good luck on finding people to volunteer for that committee.
Well,
on the other hand, I actually have a solution, an idea for that though. We need a membership committee so that when people start sending us applications for members, so that we can vet them and go through their memberships and say, okay, yeah, these people are doing all the right things. I'm not so sure that the membership committee shouldn't be the complaint committee too. Which I hate to say that as the membership guy on the board, because I have a feeling that's going to be me, and I really don't want that job, but nobody wants that job.
Well, I think that you shouldn't bear that burden alone. You should have a committee. It should have like 5 people on it, and that you should have something like a rotation schedule, like every person on your committee is in charge of that aspect of it for 1 month and it rotates or something, you know, like no one should have to bear that burden long term.
I agree with that. And I mean, we definitely are going to need several people to be on the committee anyway, just to vet the members. Vetting members is not something that I think anybody envisioned one person doing.
No, I think like 3 people minimum or something to.
Yeah, I don't remember. It may actually be in the bylaws to how many people are supposed to be on that committee.
And I don't think it's in the bylaws, but maybe like since we're talking about we're going to be the de facto place for complaints, maybe considering like as part of your membership review, like do you have complaints against you? And a certain threshold of complaints is like you have too many complaints, because everyone is going to have like the potential for like that crazy customer. Like it's like literally you did a free removal and you worked at their house for 2 weeks straight and you had your contractor buddy like repair their house perfectly and they're still not happy. Like those people exist.
Oh yeah,
and I think we should understand that those people exist and not hold that against people. But like if you have a track record of like, or maybe we like review each complaint that comes, because sometimes I think people are going to get complaints against them that's just like the public doesn't have a good understanding of like for example, I had a client who was like, I was removing their bees for them and they were like ranting to me about their previous remover and they're so mad. They paid all this money and the bees were back. And I was like, well, how long ago is this? A year and a half. It's like, what?
It's
not this, like they did their job. So sometimes I think it's like public education.
Well, yeah, that's probably the one part of that job that the previous person didn't do, is to educate them on how to repair the area so that bees couldn't come back.
Yeah.
And tell them, and even if you do all that, there's still a chance they're going to come back, because once that scent is in the walls, bees love it. And they're going to want to come back one way or another. So, but yeah, I totally agree with you that just because somebody gets a complaint doesn't mean we're throwing them under the bus.
Right. Yeah. But say if they're applying with like 5 complaints, that might, need to get reviewed or something. I don't know.
Well, and two, I think it's important to know you're talking about only taking complaints against existing members, correct? Not just taking complaints then from the general public, right?
Right.
I think that we're going to get complaints across the board. I think once we exist, those complaints are going to roll in whether we want them to or not. And I personally think we should have a way to like reach back out to the public and be something like, hey, like we understand you complain about this person. They're not a member of this group. Like that's the end of that for that complaint,
Yeah.
And then if they are a member,
and then
like,
encourage them to call somebody in our group for something next time.
Exactly. Like here's a list of people who work in your area who will do quality work for future reference or something like that. Like I think that's how those should be handled, but we are going to get those complaints.
Oh yeah.
And then, yeah, like Brandon was saying, like, okay, we'll only like really kind of like look into complaints for people who are part of the group.
Yeah.
Did we lose Becky?
Quite a while back.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
Is Becky a board member? She's not, is she?
Oh no, that wasn't Becky that was on earlier.
Oh, okay.
No, that was Michelle from the Denton County Club.
Okay.
She joined just because our meetings are open.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Got it.
So, should we move on? I'm not the president.
Yeah.
You
Also,
do that right.
Rex, did we actually have any decisions we needed to make tonight?
I would like to see about getting a membership criteria committee. That's one of the standing committees that's supposed to be.
Yeah, that as an action thing, we do need to get the membership committee rolling so that, I mean, heck, I'm ready to write a check for my membership,
Yeah, me too. Well, and we need, actually, that's something we can decide is membership fees. Set that rate for this year.
Okay. Yeah. So we're going to take a vote, or we're going to decide membership fees.
Right.
Now, as a matter of procedure, I'm going to mention that in our bylaws, we mention that any changes in pricing or for membership has to be voted on by the member. So
by the members, technically the members is just what, the board right now?
Yeah.
Okay. So the board has to vote.
The Facebook group is not members.
Okay.
The Facebook group has created our initial board.
Okay.
But other than us board, we are the members. So,
Yeah,
Okay.
we have 6 members right now.
And 4 are on this call. Okay, so in our bylaws, which I'm not looking at, but I think you are,
Yes. sir.
what is it, majority vote, or is it, what's the threshold for approving a
For
change?
this, it's just majority.
Okay,
And since I think it's majority of these in attendance.
oh wow.
Well, it's still
that's
3.
A really
It's still
low
3.
threshold. What if 2 people attended a board meeting?
Well, you have to have a quorum. You still have to have a quorum,
Okay.
which we barely have a quorum right now.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So membership fees, let's pitch some ideas and make a decision.
Well, let me go back real quick. And
Okay.
Article 4 membership types, it specifies that we have 2
Two
levels of
types,
membership.
yes.
One is a swarm capture specialist, and these people do not have voting privileges within the organization. Type 2 are colony removal professionals, for people who perform colony removals and swarm captures. And these people do have voting member privileges.
So I am just going to throw out some numbers. In my personal opinion, I think that, okay, so we have the Texas apiary inspection charges all of us $35 a year
mhm.
to just be on their website. So I think that for the professionals, it should be at least that fee, because, you know, you're getting more perks than just your name on a website. But I know that we're not maybe like doing that much this year. So we could go the route of like lower fees this year, but then next year it might be like a little harder to get the whole membership to vote on higher fees, or we could just go with whatever fees we think makes sense for when we're actually offering all the perks.
In my experience, it's easier to reduce fees later than it is to raise them later.
Okay.
I was thinking exactly in the same terms you were. I think for the professionals, for the people that are basically the apiary inspection service list, I was thinking $50.
I was too, but that's only 2 people.
I was thinking 100. So,
Okay.
but you know, I'm
Brandon, thoughts?
he's on mute.
He's muted.
Yeah, I had to get mute.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I definitely think kind of keeping it affordable, but I mean, it's kind of what do we want to do? That's kind of what I would more set the rates at, you know?
Okay, so we have 2 for 50, 1 for 100, and 1 undecided.
We'd probably take up for like 50. I would make it a little bit more affordable. I mean, I don't mind paying $100, but I would want to get kind of $100 back from it. You know what I'm saying? Like, in a
Right.
way. I mean, once we get the website and things running, we might increase the dues a little bit, but we'll also have more people. So that's going to start to, you know, put enough in. I mean, I would say the dues should be based more off of what are our running expenses, and then kind of
Yes.
figure that out, and then kind of figure out how many members we kind of project to have, and kind of set things on that kind of a course. So
So what are our expenses going to be? A website and potentially?
Well, actually, since we're talking about this, I'll just mention this. I don't know if y'all know about the website hosting program that the TBA has. It's for clubs who join the TBA. Basically, the TBA will pay for the website hosting to a site. I happen to be the administrator of that program. And because another club just joined the TBA and wanted a website, I had to migrate it. So basically, the TBA is about to change this whole program and offer it to all members, not just clubs, which I'm not sure I want that much work to set up everybody's stuff. But I went ahead and set up the hosting through the TBA website, even though our organization is not a member of TBA. that's something we can discuss later. But I wanted a place that I could at least start getting something out there.
Okay, so what's the cost? I mean,
That's
like,
free.
what's the cost? Oh, it's free.
Well, if we're going to keep it there, we probably should join the TBA as an organization.
You're saying we have
$50
zero
a year.
website
$50
costs.
a year.
Okay, so we have.
Well, I paid for the dope. What that does is it pays for the hosting.
Okay.
Basically, the servers and
Right.
the disk space and the.
And we have a domain, which is what, like $20 a year?
And I paid for that already.
Okay, so we have $50 potentially plus $20 a year on website.
Well, yeah.
So like we're looking at 70 on website. Thank you. I mean, I think though that
there might be some other costs involved with the website too.
agree. I think it's fine to run a surplus budget, by the way, because maybe we use our budget to like discount that insurance plan for everyone, or we use our budget
for training.
Yes, like yes, something. I mean, like I don't want us to be like, okay, we collected exactly enough dues to cover the website and operational expenses.
Reimbursing somebody if they have to go talk to legislators.
Yeah. Or if we get to the point where we have to like have a lobbyist actually represent us, God forbid we get there, but you never know.
Well, then not to mention too, now this is going to completely derail things. So I'm going to ask for, I'm going to apologize in advance, but I think Chris and I were talking about too, the potential down the road of having a true, like, it would have to be a separate organization, but it would be linked to have a nonprofit that collected donations and other things like that, so that when you do have one of those jobs, that's somebody that's, they own their house, but they're on fixed income and it's an elderly, or maybe it's a disabled vet, or maybe it's just somebody who's like down on their luck because of COVID or something and they're broke and they don't have money and they got kids and stuff and they need a bee removal done, but they don't have money to pay you. And you can't, we can't in our profession be expected to just completely go around and do everything for free all the time.
Yeah.
That it would then take those funds and they would be allocated to like pay for a job, so that somebody in need got a bee removal done, but also somebody that was doing that job got paid a living wage to do it. And that would truly, and then we could be very transparent about the books. And I think that would take a lot of, because man, there's some sketchy nonprofit stuff going on when it comes to bees. I mean, I remember all of that exploding. I remember sitting watching, I was at UT at the time when Colony Collapse, I had gone back to take some classes and I was sitting in the computer lab, and I remember the reports of weird bee die-off and stuff. And almost immediately after that, there were these crazy fly-by-night organizations that jumped up out of the woodwork that were like, we rescue bees. And they'd have like a picture of a dead wasp on the front of their webpage and, give us money, we'll help solve this world problem. And, I think having a legit, transparent organization that like, then you can post the stories of like, we helped, Mrs. Jones fix her, second story soffit that had bees in it. And,
and we don't collect the honey and sell it.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Are we talking about someone specific who lives in Austin now?
Actually, no, there's lots of people. Unfortunately,
this
there's
was
lots
like,
of places that do that.
This was way before that. This was like back in like 2006, early 2006.
I just like,
and it was like
Brandon saying coupled with what Chris is saying. Someone very specific comes to mind.
Yeah. Voldemort.
That who shall not be named.
Yeah.
All right, guys, to get back on track, we were talking about the membership cost.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm okay with
President. Okay. So you guys want to do like a 50-25? Like do y'all think that's reasonable?
I was actually thinking 50-10, because people who do swarms, they're not really, they're not paying anything right now. And well, most of them aren't. So what I would like to do is try and build our numbers as quickly as possible, because that's kind of the other end of that, is if we're going to legislators telling them we're representing the bee removal industry.
We got 5 people.
Well, yeah, we got 6 people in our group right now. We need a few numbers to put behind that too.
That's true.
Personally think 10 is too low.
I'm
I
okay
mean,
with,
I don't know. But maybe you guys think 25 is too high, but I know people are paying 35 to just get on the swarm list for TIS, and you think like people pay like, people who drink at Starbucks pay like $5 for a cup of coffee. Like you're telling them it's like, hey, 2 Starbucks cups equals, yeah. But whatever you guys think, I don't mean to be
vehemently
difficult.
opposed to 25. I was just thinking less, but
Maybe 15 could be a milligram. I don't know. What does everyone think?
I was thinking 20.
Oh, okay.
I think 50,
What does everyone
20,
else think?
50-20 has a nice ring to it.
I'm good with 20.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not worth
Well-
a stamp. Put $10 in the mail.
All right. Well, all right. I'm going to make a motion then, Brandon, that we
Yes,
set
sir.
our membership dues for $50 for professional level membership and $20 for swarm level membership.
I second the motion.
That works. Yeah. I third it.
All right, we call for a vote. I vote A.
I
Canadian now. All right, motion passes.
Yay.
That's our
Okay.
first actual official action.
Good job, board. We're on a roll. What else did we need to decide?
It only took an hour and 20 minutes.
I know. So now that we're in
We've been
decision
productive.
mode,
We've been
what else are we in charge of deciding? Or what else are we needing to decide today?
I guess what we just need to put out something on the Facebook group for now to ask who wants to be on the vetting committee. Is that okay?
I think that's okay. By default, as president, I'm automatically on every committee.
Yes.
So
And I'm assuming I'm the chairman of that committee.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I would assume you're the chairman of that committee. So before we put that out, I think we should have a discussion on how many members that committee should have on it. Because if you only get 2 people interested, or if you get 20 people, I mean, these are obviously the extremes, but let's say, or 1 person interested, that's obviously not enough to run your committee. Or if you have like an excess amount of people, you gonna either need a way to like get more people on the committee, or a way to like figure out which of the numerous people you got to actually pick from.
I don't think that part's going to be the problem.
I know.
You never get enough
Not this
volunteers.
year, but in the future, it could come up.
Although I was shocked we actually had to have an election. So that's a good thing. That's a real good thing. But
I would like to see maybe
3,
5 people on your committee, but I think 3 absolutely. I mean, you can't run a committee with less than
That's
3.
true.
So
I think 5 is a good number.
okay, do
good with that.
Rex and Brandon, you guys have thoughts on that?
Yeah. I mean, that sounds cool to me. I mean,
Okay.
I'm good with 5, and it can be ran with 3.
I mean, 2 of the committee members are on this call by default.
Well, actually, Rex
and
doesn't
Chris.
count as one of those 5
okay,
because
Okay.
he, as president, he's a member of a committee anyway.
okay. So
So
it would be you plus 4.
me plus 4 plus Rex.
Okay.
If he wants to participate.
Okay, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Hey, our VP doesn't have a lot of responsibilities. Who's our VP? Maybe we could just force them to
Michael
be
Lopez.
on the committee.
You're supposed to-
Michael,
gonna
while
put
you weren't on the
I was
first
gonna put him
board
in
meeting,
charge of
the group decided VP position now is a member of this committee.
I move Michael Lopez be the first person to handle all complaints.
Wait,
Awesome.
wait, you have to move first that the VP role is a member of the committee. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I withdraw that motion.
He'll never miss a board meeting again if we vote that in, by the way.
That's true. Well, I'm going to tell him that he's now in charge of complaints.
But he's not even on your committee yet.
He doesn't need to know that.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
if I'm
Sorry,
absent,
we're off track again.
if I'm absent from the meeting, he is, because he takes my place. if I'm absent
Right.
from any meeting.
Yeah, but you don't have to be at that meeting though.
So
That-
I motion that we have the membership committee have a minimum, or no, just straight have 5 members.
With me as the chairman, right?
Yes.
I second that.
Okay. Vote.
I third. I think that's good.
Motion passes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Roll call
Motion
vote.
passes. Okay. Okay.
Okay. I guess I will go ahead and put a note on the Facebook page asking for volunteers for that.
Okay.
Um,
I have a question. If you don't get enough volunteers, should we have something that says like, basically like it defaults to the board has to be on this committee to,
well,
you're going to have
what
5 people on it.
we look at the applications
Uh-huh.
and then make recommendations to the board. We don't vote people in. The
Oh,
board.
got
does
it.
that.
Okay. So that's a
all the
conflict
committee
of
does is-
interest. So the board cannot serve on the committee outside of you. Okay.
Correct, yeah.
Got it. Okay. Perfect.
The next step for me then will be to come up with a membership application form
Okay.
and give that to the committee, and I guess we'll turn around and pass that up to the board. But
So
we can do that through email and on the Google Drive.
then do we want to circle back to requirements of membership? Because we kind of had like briefly talked about, I mean, we have stuff that's in the documents already, and then we had talked about some other ideas, which I don't exactly remember everything we talked about, but Brandon should have those noted.
Well, the bylaws have the
Minimum requirements.
Okay.
minimum requirements as far as
I remember now. Yeah. We had talked about complaints and insurance, like potential things surrounding those. Do we want to have
right,
anything to do
code
with,
of ethics.
right, included in, or we happy, like, do we want to also like put in a clause about some certain amount of complaint? I mean, it probably wouldn't be applicable for this year, but for future years, like,
Well, to do that, we're talking about changing the bylaws for that,
okay,
which is a whole other process that we can't do tonight.
It's like
Got it.
changing. the Constitution.
Yeah.
it's like
and-
changing,
and,
sorry, you cut out.
It's like changing the Constitution.
Yeah, okay,
and actually, I do have later on the agenda, I added bylaw changes because we have some things that we need to talk about from the election that people wanted to
Uh-huh.
see. But
yeah,
I don't want to get sidetracked on that. Between the code of ethics and the document called membership vetting criteria, I think we have a framework to start with.
Okay.
Do y'all want
so
to?
let me ask you a question.
Uh-huh.
How are you, okay, so we're just kind of like assuming everyone who's in Facebook like is pretty much already qualified. Is that the idea? Like everyone who's gonna be like, let's say you get like 3 people, I don't know, whatever. You get enough people for membership committee, you're just gonna like green light them all, right? Yeah. Okay. Is that the idea for this year?
Well,
Anyone who's interested, or how are you gonna?
depends on who. There's a few people I probably don't want to see on the committee.
Okay, so
Yeah,
then,
well, I mean,
First they have to be
you
a
want members, but you also, it's a balance between being selective in your members and like, making sure that we're not just letting literally anybody that signs up in. But we
So,
also don't want to
yes.
be like a good old boys club that's like, oh, those are a bunch of, jerks that don't let anybody in because, somebody said something bad on a Facebook post that they didn't like, or, how that gets like kind of,
right.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, that's why I think like having like the more definition we put on it, the better. But for Chris's thing now, like we're about to put people on the membership committee, and Chris is saying there's some people in the Facebook group who may or may not apply to be on that committee that he wouldn't feel comfortable with being on the committee. So are we just going to say like you have to pass, like to get on this committee you have to pass these criteria?
Well, no, the board has to approve committee members.
Okay, got it.
That's just the standard operating thing
Okay.
for our board. So people are going to volunteer, and then we decide who gets to be on that committee.
Okay. My next question is, what if we don't have 4 volunteers? And we just said there has to be 5 committee members. Are we gonna like reach out to people and kind of like tell them to join the committee?
I'm going to propose a motion to modify what we just voted on a minute ago.
What do you want to modify it to?
I want to propose that we have a minimum of 3
And a maximum of
up
5?
to 5.
Okay.
I agree.
I will second that motion.
Yeah, I agree. Like
whatever.
to say
Okay.
it to like get legalese, you just basically say that it's going to be a committee of 5, but if for some reason all 5 people can't show up, as long as there's at least 3 members, then you're good.
Well, I'm talking about how many members on the committee.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
he's talking about if we only get like 2 people
Because
interested.
We may not have 4 other people
Or,
volunteer
yeah.
to be on the vetting committee.
I agree with that for this
Although-
year. Yeah.
I would suspect that that's probably the one thing people do want their input on.
Yeah.
So
I
we
agree.
might have a lot of people volunteering for that one.
Okay, so
Um,
does everyone ready to vote on that? Did we all vote aye? This is changing to minimum of 3 members, maximum of 5 members on the membership committee.
Correct.
I agree.
Okay, motion passes unanimously.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Just so that everybody knows, I want to go through it real quick. The membership committee, the vetting process, basically the committee is, like I said, we're not approving or disapproving of anybody. We're reviewing the applications to make sure that they match what the requirements are.
Oh, and then the board approves or disapproves?
Yes.
Wow, okay. So do we need to have like a certain time allocated to each board meeting, or do we need to have like the business board meeting and then a separate board meeting?
I foresee that step as being something for every board meeting,
Okay,
but it
like, okay,
takes like a minute.
Here's the list of this month's applicants.
Yeah, like next month, Brandon will say, hey, I posted the minutes to the meeting to the Google Drive. Did everybody have a chance to look at them? You say yes. Then somebody says, I move we accept the minutes.
okay.
That's,
Got it.
you don't have to read all the minutes. So
I'm guessing your membership committee will like post all the notes and all the applications, and on our own time ahead of the board meeting, we should, as a responsible board member, read through all that. And if we have questions or concerns about anyone, voice them during the initial 1-minute approval or denial phase.
if you want
Okay.
to.
Just curious.
We will put these out there for everybody on the board to see. At least this is how I'm envisioning this work. And then when the board meeting comes around, I'll say, here are the people who have applied for membership. The membership committee recommends accepting these people.
Mhm.
And then that actually acts as a motion to the board
Okay.
that can either be voted on or accepted or not.
This is kind of off topic, but I do have a question. Like, okay, somebody applies, they like maybe are not honest on their application. We approve them and later find that out. Like, are we?
We have expulsion. we have
Okay.
clauses for expelling people.
Okay.
Real quick, I want to go through what these things are. Basically, it says the applications for membership shall be reviewed by the membership committee. Applications seeking swarm capture specialists are for those. No history of experience as a bee remover is required. For applications requesting a colony removal specialist, membership shall be vetted by one of the methods below. And we have 3 methods right now.
Yeah.
First one is a signed affidavit from 5 or more current colony removal specialist members, which, there's 6 of us right now.
No one's going to qualify on that currently.
Actually, there's a few people that probably would. They're well-known people that all of us could just say, yes, I sign a letter saying take him.
And I guess that's true.
Ed. Well, I don't know if y'all even know Ed. Maybe
I know of his work through the
Okay.
Facebook pages. Yeah.
Second one is signed letter of reference from a minimum of 5 colony removal customers, including pictures or video of the removal. C, been in the bee removal business for a minimum of 3 years and a signed affidavit from 5 or more well-known and respected bee removal professionals, not necessarily members.
Yeah,
So
that's
like,
important, I think, because not everyone's going to want to even be a member.
right. But that way, you know, if somebody is out in Lubbock, you know, we may not know who they are, but they'll know other people out there.
Yeah.
And they know the people that are in their area. It says applicants shall be free of official complaints from bee removal customers. Obviously, we're not going to know who's complaining about who at this point, but.
So hold on, let me clarify on that, because as we discussed, we are going to end up in the future becoming the de facto complaint place. And we did talk about there are going to be some people who just are crazyville on complaints. So if someone has one complaint against them, are we just going to say like, too bad, you can't join? Or how's that? Are we going to review that?
We
or
probably should reword. We should probably reword that document to say free of validated complaints.
I agree with that.
Or something like that.
Brandon, can you make a note of that for just whenever the board meeting happens that we're going to review the bylaws to like touch base on that one again?
Okay, can y'all summarize that kind of a little more succinctly?
Well, basically, now this document's not part of the bylaws. We can change it.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Never mind then. So are you saying we can change that now?
I just added it, but I am putting the comment in the word in the document so people can see it.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see. 4, after reviewing, and y'all should go through these documents too and add your own comments, please. Do. After reviewing the application, the committee shall vote on each membership application. Then forward the recommendation to the board of directors. That's what I was saying before. And then the board of directors shall review the recommendations from the membership and accept or deny the membership. If a membership application is denied, the applicant should be notified within 14 days after being reviewed by the board. If a membership application is denied, their dues are refunded.
Okay, so they have to submit dues with the application.
Yeah, they send the dues with the application.
Sounds good.
But you know, we're not going to keep their money if we don't let them in.
Yeah,
we're not that hard to
completely. No, yeah, that completely makes sense.
Okay, so like I said, the next thing I want to do is start putting an application form together. And I will put that in the same folder and notify everybody on the board and let y'all look at it. And if it's okay, I would like to get approval just via email or however.
Do you want to have like a date to have that for you to have it completed and then for us to have it reviewed by?
Yes, because that'll make me do it. How about by next Monday, I have that ready.
Okay. And then when do you want the rest of everyone else to have reviewed it by?
The Monday after that.
Okay. I'm going to write an action item for myself. So according to the calendar, which I don't have for, hey, honey, can you pull it on? So that'll be everyone will need to have reviewed what you sent out to us by, and switch to the next month. February 8th.
Yeah, I'm actually, did y'all know that we have a Google, since we have Google Drive, we have Google Calendar for our group?
Ah, good.
And it's shareable. We can all look at it.
I live on Google Calendar.
Yeah, I do too. For sharing calendars, it is by far the easiest thing I've ever seen.
Are you adding that to the calendars? Is that what you're doing? Like your action item and our action item? Awesome. You were so great. Sorry, I used to be a project manager in a former life, so I am very big on like action items, making decisions.
Oh no, I
that kind
very
of
much
stuff.
appreciate that. Okay.
So if y'all are like, Bernie, chill out, like that's fine. Just let me know.
More of it. Okay. Well, I think that got everything I had on my list.
Okay. Is there a day of the week that's good for everyone? I know we've got two people. Becky is not good for Monday nights.
I
Apparently.
love Monday nights, but that's unfortunate. Okay. Okay.
The only day that's not good for me is going to be the third Tuesday of the month.
Is that your poker night?
No, that's our B club meeting in town.
Okay.
Okay, Friday nights are bad for me, but Friday nights are gonna be bad for everybody. Generally.
Yeah.
There's a
Friday
certain
night is my poker night.
which Wednesday? There's one Wednesday a month that is bad for me because it's also my B club. I don't remember which Wednesday it is, though. It was last Wednesday. So I guess that's first, second Wednesday of the month? I don't know. Third one? I don't know. I'm super not. I can't find my calendar.
Y'all know what
Wednesday.
Doodle is?
Doodle?
Yeah. It's
No.
some people use it as a survey thing, but it's really a way to get group schedules together.
Okay.
So basically
So
what you do is say, what time can we meet? And then you X out the times that you don't want to be there.
That's a great
And
idea.
Doodle's free.
Do you want to send everyone on the board the doodle thing?
Yeah, I'm gonna create the account.
Okay.
And then when should we meet? Like how far down the road?
Well, as a board, I think we should meet once a month.
Right, but do we need to meet more often than that for now, just to get things rolling? Like the 8th is less than a month away.
Well, I think we should have an official meeting date, and then whatever communication in between can be email or impromptu, Zoom calls. Or
like
something.
as needed, if we need additional meetings, we can decide on that. Yeah, I do. Yeah, agree. We need a minimum once a month meeting.
Like I said, though, any day of the week is good for me.
Okay. So I think Becky had some constraints, but she's not here, and Michael's not here, so I don't know what his constraints are either.
Let me text him real quick.
I was just looking through the messages from Michael. He just was talking about this week on his constraints. Becky is Friday through Monday night. I think that's her work schedule. So
she's unavailable.
Unavailable.
Fridays through Monday. Okay, so she has Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays available.
I think she gets off at 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. So.
Okay, that's going to be the most restricted. Repeat that. I was looking at my phone.
Yeah, Becky works 5 to 5 from Friday nights through, I guess, Tuesday morning. She listed through Monday, and that's why okay, I'll be home by 5 Monday. No, it's 5 p.m. She goes to work Monday to 5 a.m.
Okay.
I haven't heard anyone say they have a Tuesday constraint, but it also sounds like that might not give Becky
one
that much
Tuesday a month.
sleep.
One Tuesday a month isn't good.
Is or is not?
One Tuesday a month is not good for me.
Is not good. Okay.
The third Tuesday of the month is not good.
Okay.
So that leaves Thursdays.
Well, no, there's only one Wednesday a month I'm not available, so that leaves 3 Wednesdays a month also.
Okay.
I'm good all Wednesdays.
All right. Well, let's figure it for Wednesdays, and I need to look at a calendar and we can figure whether the first Wednesday or third or whatever works for us. Obviously, we're going to be communicating more in the beginning. So.
Y'all want to just pick a random day and say like the second Wednesday of the month?
That works for me.
I think that works for me.
I was going to text Michael. Let me try that real quick.
Okay, so who will be in charge of putting this, like sending the invite out to our calendars? Is that
That is
president or
traditionally the
secretary?
secretary.
Okay. Okay, Brandon, you're up for that one, but yeah. Okay, good. Should he do that through, you said that our organization has like a Google Calendar?
Yeah, I'll show him how to use it. But one of the things that I want to do for the website thing is it will let me do our own email lists with our domain name. You know, the
Yeah.
txapbr.org. So we can do board at that or members at that. So I want to, I think somebody else is going to create a board email list.
Who?
I thought that was you. Is that not you?
Me?
Somebody had mentioned it, but
no, I hadn't mentioned that. But if it needs to get done, we should make sure that someone
well, I
is doing
mean,
it.
I can get that other thing set up pretty quick tomorrow.
What's
Sorry,
the
one second. I am. What was your question, Rex?
I'm
Chris,
sorry. What?
Chris, what's the email list that you already created?
Oh, I don't have one yet. Oh, wait. Yes, I did. I created a Google Groups.
Yeah,
yeah, we can use that one for now. I just did that as a temporary thing.
okay. Is 6 to 7 p.m. good for everyone, or 6 till whenever we?
Yeah, I was gonna ask. I think we are gonna need more than an hour for board meetings.
Yeah. At least initially.
I think 6 to 9 is good, which is what it looked like this one was scheduled for, and then it's always fine to like break early.
Okay.
But I think it's always harder to like ask for less time and then ask people to stay longer.
I just want to make sure that 6 p.m. was an appropriate starting time. You know.
I'm good with that. I think we're just going to need to make sure that everyone who's on this meeting is good with that, and then everyone who's not on the meeting is good with it.
Okay. I'm good with it. I can sit here with a plate of food if I'm in the middle of dinner. So.
I decided for the first meeting. Go ahead, Brandon.
No, I was saying it's just that's good with me.
Okay.
I haven't heard from Brandon or from Michael Lopez, so I don't know. Yeah, I did create a Google Groups. Did everybody get that notification? You know how to use it?
Get there.
Yeah.
Let me send an email to it real quick.
I'll also mention that throughout the Facebook feed that you've made, there are some people that have made some comments on there, so we might want to look through that. Steve,
yeah, I haven't noticed it.
Look into some insurance options also. Carlos Hernandez was talking, made some mentions about our vetting procedures. So we can look through them and see what's going on with the.
Wait, we have an extra hour and 15 minutes on this meeting, assuming that we don't have any more decisions to make. So we could do that during this meeting. Right. Do we have more decisions we need to make this meeting?
Let's see.
Not that I'm aware of.
Bank account was the only other discussion items on the list.
Oh, yes. Okay, I definitely move that we pick a bank that is in every major city. Because, the treasurer has to sign and the president has to sign. I'm not the only one who has to sign stuff, and people are all over the state. So it needs to be some big bank like Bank of America, Chase, Wells Fargo, something that's in big cities and smaller towns if possible, or like within, if someone lives in like a really small town, they need to have like 30 minutes access to whatever bank we pick.
I would hands down unequivocally unequivocally across the board recommend Frost. They're a Texas-based bank, and the big thing with them is that you can call in and you get immediately to talk to a human being. I've been
Okay.
with Bank of America and other things, and they are a nightmare to
Wow.
try to get any question answered, anything like that. You have to go through like 80 different menus, and then halfway through that process, and you're like 30 minutes on hold, you get hung up on and you got to start it all over again. Like that happened to me too many times. Frost is like really good. They're like on the ball. And I don't think it's would be that. I need to check, and I honestly can call them. I can literally call them tonight because they're 24 hours and ask them about what it would involve for a nonprofit to have like just a basic checking account. I don't think it would take a lot. And
Hold on. I am looking up where Frost Bank is located within the state.
they're
Just
all
to
over
make
the state.
sure.
I just
They're
looked.
all over the state.
I've never heard of them, and there's 3 branches in Bryan College Station.
Okay.
Yeah, they're all over the state.
Okay.
They're like probably the biggest bank that's based in
Okay.
Texas. They're owned in Texas. They're not like, Bank of America or Chase or all that are like multinational corporations, but, or at least, they're all over the United States. But
Okay.
Yeah.
Frost is just good.
So I guess that would, I'm good with Frost then if they're everywhere. That would just have to be something that we would need to keep in mind for future treasurer elections. If we pick a treasurer that for whatever reason, I don't know, they live in somewhere in the state that they're outside of where Frost Bank is, like something just to consider.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, if you are strongly advocating Frost Bank, I think that that's great.
Well, and the cool thing with them too is that they have a mobile app so that, if we needed to, like, somebody can be remote, and if they needed to like deposit checks or anything like that, you can just do it over their app really easily. And pretty much anything else, you can get via just calling them, like even a new debit card or something like that, if you need it or whatever, like that can be just mailed to you, it's, so I don't know. It just seems with, if y'all can vote for something else, it's fine. But I just really want to put there, like, I can't emphasize how easy they are to work with. It honestly, in the long run, especially if we're switching out treasurers and things like that, would be really wise to have a bank that you can really get a hold of and that can work with you. Like, you're not like having to talk to some outsourced tech help, that's in some other country or something that's helping you with the account that doesn't really understand stuff. Frost is like super, like, I've never had a dealing with them where they, like, if they didn't know the answer, they would immediately put me in contact with somebody that did. They don't do that, like, well, we're sorry, we're just going to read off our website to you kind of thing. Like, anyway.
They look really good. The only like major city gap that I can see on, I just like looked on their whole map, would be Amarillo. So if we end up with a treasurer out of Amarillo, like they would have to drive down to Lubbock, would be their nearest location. But other than that, they are really well covered on the state.
Cool.
I'm going to make a motion that we use Frost Bank.
Okay. Is anyone
I for sure
wanna-
second that.
Okay. I vote yay or aye, whatever the yes is these days.
All right, motion passes for
Okay.
looking at Frost Bank as being our banker.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure that puts me in charge of setting up an account for us, since I'm the treasurer. I'm guessing we have some nonprofit paperwork or something that I'm going to need to. And also, I don't think I'm the only one who is in charge. Like, don't we have like a redundancy thing, like multiple board members have to sign, or how do I need to set this up?
It's not written into the bylaws.
Okay.
We do have an audit committee that is supposed to review the books every year.
Okay. I do maybe think we should have a little bit more stringent checks and balances than that. Like, I don't think that I should have carte blanche to just write and approve checks without someone else's signature on that. That's my personal thought. I mean, I'm big on checks and balances.
The president does have to approve checks that are made.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I think Rex definitely needs to have signature authority on the account.
Okay.
And I should have asked this question before I made this motion, but I assume they do online banking where you can just log on to the site and look at the transactions and all that good stuff. Is that right, Brandon?
Yeah, yeah. No, you
Okay.
can do that really easily.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then both of y'all should be able to
You-
do that.
I
then.
don't think you can deposit checks via their website, but you can do that over the mobile app really
Yeah, yeah.
easily.
But just to be able to look at the transactions and stuff, Rex can log on.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
See what's going on. So
Yeah, no, that's easy to do. You just log in and it's just like any other bank. And like I say, the main thing I think that would be super easy, that it's a big plus, even if it costs a little bit more yearly to go with Frost, is that, like I say, you can get a hold of somebody. So, when a new treasurer comes in or whatever, you can say, hey, here's the stuff to the account. Oh, and by the way, just call this number and you can talk to them if you have any questions about the account or need to change something or whatever. And they'll get right on the phone with a banker that like knows their stuff. So I think it's worth that, not to have the headache of like having to try to go and, especially if we're putting multiple people on the account and off the account and things like that. So
here's what I will do is, as the treasurer, I will like talk to Frost Bank, and I will, if y'all are okay with this, I will talk to them about setting up a nonprofit checking account. Is that what we believe we need?
yes.
Okay, with multiple like writer privileges or whatnot. And then I will bring back all the information to the next board meeting. Or I can send it ahead of time for review, and then we can make like a decision on if like everything looks good, go ahead and get that set up. Or if y'all wanted to just go ahead of time, I guess I would just basically be working with Rex, since he'll be the main signer as the president, and Chris, any documents you currently have.
The documents you're going to need are all in the Google Drive.
Okay.
You're going to need the EIN form, which is on the Google Drive, and you're going to want to print off a copy of our bylaws.
Okay.
And you probably are going to need to print or create a list of our officers, names, phone numbers. I don't think you need addresses, but they're going to want to.
They probably will.
If you guys want me to just set it up without like any buy-in, I can do that. But if y'all also just want me to get all the information and present it so everyone can like feel warm and fuzzy about it, I'm also great to do that at the next board meeting.
I'm okay with you just setting it up and then getting Rex's signature on there.
I'm good with that.
Okay. I will do that then.
FYI too, I actually get my B insurance through Frost.
Through
So
Frost,
that's
okay.
another thing that might open up an avenue down the way, especially.
Do you have a
them
banker
trying to
you
be-
work with at Frost that you think I should work with, or I should just work with whoever?
No, just honestly, whoever. I've never
Okay.
had an experience with somebody that wasn't super professional and knew their stuff. And like I say, you call in and you immediately get a hold of a real human being, which is awesome. Like they don't, you might have to
That is nice.
like initially you might have to hold for just a minute or two if they actually are busy, but like a person answers the phone. There's no like menu of like having to go through 50 different menus and all that stuff. So, but it might, once we get it more rolling and get more members and stuff, it might be something cool to, like I say, to reach out to them about insurance as well too. Cause I don't know if y'all know, insurance works sort of like Stihl chainsaws, right? Like you can't go buy a chainsaw straight from Stihl. You have to go through a dealer, and insurance is the same way. Like they have insurance like clearinghouses that actually are the money of the insurance. And then you have to go through an actual certified dealer to get that insurance. I can't just go to Union Standard and get a contract written up. I have to go through an agent basically, and Frost serves as an agent. So it might be something. They do my insurance, and maybe down the road, like I say, it might be something we could talk to them about getting group insurance or some sort of group rate, especially since they're a Texas company. They want to be like, yeah, we support Texas and bees are cool and it looks good for them. And I don't know. You
totally like throw a curveball out there. If we like structure as a co-op or something else, like have a side branch of us as a co-op, we can actually become our own insurance cooperative as well and work with that underwriting company you were talking about and not have to go through Frost. Just an idea, because I know people who did that. I'm like from a Czechoslovakian community and of farmers, and they were getting ripped off. So the farmers band together and were able to get their own policies underwritten, which may be something in the future we want to think about.
That is something that we
That's
had
cool.
talked about over the last year and a half, was uh, the fact that there are some other trade organizations, but I don't know how the technicalities of how they're set up. I was on the board of directors for the Texas Soap Makers Association, and there's there's another group it's like a national organization for soap makers, but all they wind up being is an insurance company, you know. So their membership perk is that you are paying $400 or $700, whatever, for your membership includes insurance.
Yeah.
But it's something that's way beyond our $50 professional fee.
Right. Yeah, and like it's just something that we might want to consider in the future, because I think when you become your own cooperative, you get better rates than when you have to go. You basically eliminate the middleman, I think, because you become the middleman. I don't know, but you might have more experience with that, Rex.
No, I didn't wind up becoming a member of that big organization.
Oh, okay.
That was too rich for my little soap making pocket.
Okay. So it sounds like we made a decision on the bank, and I am now action items for setting up our bank account. Again, did we have any other action items we needed to get done? If not, I think we should review the stuff. I think, Rex, you brought up that people had made comments on some of Chris's posts about membership. I didn't quite catch the details of that, though.
Let's see. I had 3 items. One was monitoring the legislature keywords, bank account and treasurer sign up, and then third was to discuss our website and what our vision is for having information on there. That's all I had on my initial.
I think we covered the first 2 thoroughly. Does anyone disagree with that?
No, I agree.
Did we cover the website thoroughly? I'm not sure we've touched on that much.
Chris?
Well, we talked about the membership display aspects of it. Rex mentioned making sure it was a professional looking site. Which I completely agree. I've done some websites. I would like to I'm really good at content. Doing the artsy side of it, I can use some help with.
Okay. There's a company or a web hosting thing. I know you're hosting for free, but it's called Wix. It's what I run my site through, and they basically, you put in the content and it's like drag and click for the artsy side of it.
Right. Well, honestly, to do the membership things that we need to do, we can't do through Wix.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Or as listing by county or whatever for the.
Okay.
Yeah, that part's going to require some web programming, which I actually have somebody I've been talking to do that aspects that may not cost us hardly anything.
Okay, that's great. I was going to ask, do we know anyone?
The rest of it's just it's WordPress, which people that use WordPress love it. It's by far the most popular content management system out there. I would like to get a couple of people that, especially if they know WordPress really well, to help or maybe even take over and do it all. In my club, I'm the webmaster by default. It's not that I want the job, it's just that nobody else wants to do it, so I end up throwing it all out there myself. And to be honest, my club website is pretty nice looking, I think. It could be better, but there's also different tastes and desires too.
So even more than looking professional, which I do think is very important, I think SEO is going to be like our most important thing.
SEO?
Oh, search engine optimization.
Gotcha. Okay.
So basically, like when people type in like professional bee remover Texas, our website needs to pop to the top. It needs to be the #1 thing that pops back for people.
That's actually one of the nice things about where we moved the hosting service to. if anybody cares about it's hosted on a place called SiteGround. If you look for web hosting companies, SiteGround is almost always one of the top rated companies. And one of the reasons we moved to them is they actually will answer the phone when you call tech support, which I like a lot. And they're not always with the foreign accent.
It's like Brandon calling Frost.
Yeah. Yes.
So I guess we could discuss like a site tree for the website if we feel we're ready to discuss that. Or we could just
Well,
put
let me ask
discussing
this
website
question.
in the future.
How much more time do we want to spend tonight?
We technically have another hour on the schedule, and I'm fine to
Okay.
spend that hour, but
Okay.
there's more people to decide on that.
To be quite honest, I usually sit down with a piece of paper and pencil and start drawing out a site tree
Okay.
when I go to start designing a website, and I haven't done that yet.
Okay.
So, and maybe that's a good thing that I haven't done that, because then I don't have any preconceived ideas. But I think just on a general concept, it's addressing two different audiences. The one audience is the general public who's going to come to the website looking for somebody to remove their beads.
Mm-hmm.
The other audience is our own members.
Yes.
And I'm not exactly sure what our own members might want to come look at, other than what benefits they get, how to sign up for. Okay, I just answered that question.
Yeah.
How do you get the benefits? And then just generic information about our organization, how to contact the board, what our goals are, put our bylaws up there so everybody can see it, stuff like that.
Yeah, so okay, I kind of like wrote down much. I wish that I could probably share a screen if you guys are interested in looking at this. Okay, look at my screen if you want.
We have screens on Facebook also.
Wait a minute. Dang it.
Well, you got a lot of icons.
Dang it, I can't get. Which one is the one that makes the screen freaking bigger? Okay, I have a lot of crap on my screen.
Oh,
But-
I don't know. You're using a Mac. I don't know how to use that.
Okay, can you see?
Yes, we see the
I
screen.
kind of like it's easier for me like when it's visual. So if this is helpful, that's great. And if it's not, that's fine too. But it's kind of like and I kind of like captured like for the members section information, like maybe the form, like if people want to join, the benefits, like fees, I don't know. And then maybe a members only area. And that's where the training information is possibly.
Well, one of the things that I had thought of is when people joined, being able to log in so that you can update your own information. So like your address, your phone number, your website.
Okay.
Yeah, that might be it, huh? Yeah, that's interesting to look into, because then I guess you'd have to have a bunch of registered users and passwords and all that. That should be something we should be able to get, but I would worry a little bit too that then it's like a big access issues and all that. If you have somebody that you could just email it to and be like, hey, change my name and number to this and that, and then but then you've got to have somebody that's willing to deal with that constantly too. You know?
Right, yeah.
Which I would definitely want to put that on either some sort of a service or some sort of a company. I don't think a member should have to deal with that, because we're going to have, people changing roles and all sorts of other things. And that could be kind of difficult to get right. And it's a huge security access issue,
we did talk about in some of our previous meetings, actually paying an employee, not necessarily employee, that's the wrong word,
Yeah.
Paying somebody to do that as a consulting job would be the right way to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why it's not a board position, because it's work.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so did I accurately capture, and if not, just, whatever, tell me, what we've talked about so far as like a potential site tree, like a membership thing with some things, a contact. Chris, you mentioned board members. I think we'd need complaints in there also, if I can learn how to spell. You mentioned and bylaws. I don't know if that should be like its own tab or some subtabs. Finder remover, I think, should be on there for the general public. Maybe education, or maybe like or maybe removals or something, and then like some subtabs about like finder remover, or like what you should look for in a remover. Like the education to the public.
Why hire a professional?
Should that be like a main thing or a sub-tab?
Well, it's definitely it's definitely going to be something that is directed to the public audience and not the member audience.
Right. So like generally on like a site tree, you have like these things across the top.
Right.
And then like you have drop downs. So are you saying like hire professional remover should be one of the main things, or it should be like you would click on finder remover and then one of like the drop tabs would be hire a professional remover?
That's kind of the devil in the details, is figuring out exactly how to word what your menu titles
I guess I'm asking, do you view these two bullets as the same bullet or separate bullets?
I would probably put them. See, that's the part I haven't really gotten to yet.
Okay, I'll just put questions behind both of them, like.
They definitely both belong there. The
Okay.
question is hierarchy and structure.
Okay, cool. What else are you guys thinking?
Under those, somewhere is going to be, questions to ask a remover.
Before you call a remover.
What do you have? Do you have a swarm or a, swarm or a colony? What?
I would actually title it things the remover is going to ask you.
Yeah, that's good.
Because there's a set of, I'm sure this is true of everybody in the group. There's a set of questions that I always end up asking every customer when they first call. How long have they been there? Are they actually causing a problem? Everybody has probably own set of questions that they ask. If they're in a structure, how high is it? Do you have pictures or video that you can send to somebody?
So I will just.
But I wouldn't necessarily put all of these.
I think this should just basically be like one tab and then see plus more.
Yeah.
I think it would be like one page. Things your remover will ask you and all these.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, cool.
One page.
Yeah, things your remover, etc.
What I kind of had envisioned was when a general public person comes to the website needing bees to be removed, I don't want to send them off into 5 different places.
Mm-hmm.
I want to give them one place that's kind of going to lead them through the different steps as concisely as possible.
That's a great.
I don't want to overwhelm them with so many things that they give up and don't go to the next step, which is actually, okay, here's the list of your removers. But I want to present some stuff to them first.
Yeah. So maybe there should be a tab that's like find a remover, and you click that tab and it pulls a map, and then it is basically like with a bunch of pins, or it had, I don't know, like either a map or at least by county, and then it's kind of like TAS. It has, and then a separate tab talks about why hire, or you know, something that kind of goes more into all this. So it's like all the information is one tab, and then just if they're like, I don't care, because you said not everyone's going to care about information. Some people are just going to be like, find the remover.
Yeah. Well, if I make it concise enough, I kind of want to put the other stuff up there first. But you know, if it all fits on one screen, then there's like a paragraph or whatever of stuff. You know, why would you hire a professional? All that other stuff. But then right below it is find your remover. So
You know,
the people that are going to skip ahead can skip ahead, but you know, the people that we at least try to get some information out of them or to them first.
Another recommendation I would have, honestly, too, and this might sound a little bit weird. I think that once we figure out sort of all of the, like, what we want to put on that information page, Erica reached out to me. I talked to her the other day, and she was, I'm getting an echo.
Oh, sorry. Wait a minute. The people. Okay, go ahead.
I talked to Erica the other day, and she was like, hey, let me know any kind of way I can help out the organization, yada, yada, all this stuff. Like, quite frankly, I think we should, once we get all that stuff, we should reach out to her and see if she would be willing to like make a short video. And then we put that on the website. We can host it through YouTube and say, hey, watch this first. And so people that are like, oh, I'm just trying to, they'll go, wait, I probably ought to watch this. And it would be just her kind of going over all the things, right? But I think that would help a lot with that. Not to mention, you know, we should try to leverage as much as we can of any of her stuff too, because she's got some ungodly amount of followers on Instagram and on Facebook and stuff like that. I mean, it's pretty ridiculous. She's been on like the front page of Reddit and stuff like that. So and she's like wanting to help us out as absolutely much as possible. So I think putting that on there would help out some things too, and kind of give people that don't want to read all that stuff, maybe they would watch a video. And then my 2 cents for how to organize stuff, I would say, you know, have a little search bar, or maybe like say, hey, what county are you in? And then when you go to the county page for like Travis County or Williamson or Bear or whatever you are, it has these removers live in your area, and it has like all the people who actually live there and work. Then it's like, right, these removers don't live there, but they're willing to travel to your county, and then list all of those. And then that way, like when you sign up, you do get a home county, and you only get one, and you choose where you're going to work. And then the rest of it. So the people would call the people that are local first, and then go on to people that like, well, I couldn't get a hold of all these local guys, so I'm going to call somebody who's 2 counties over or something like that. I don't know. It might be, I don't know if that was too much info in one go or what.
No, I followed exactly what you're talking about. And that's pretty close to what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Do you guys want me to keep sharing the screen or just drop off
actually, Brittany, can you cut and paste that and put it in a Google Documents thing on the Google Share Drive?
The whole thing or just this section here?
No, just the website stuff.
Yes. Let me add that to my action items. Okay.
Cool. As far as finding somebody that knows WordPress, is there anybody on the board who does? Or you want to learn WordPress?
I mean, I've goofed around with it a little bit, but like, I definitely wouldn't consider myself an expert. Things anymore, though, are getting, with website and web design, they're getting to where they're just, you can get drag and drop, and like they're
that's
pretty
true.
easy to use nowadays.
Well, what I was getting to was I'm sorry, I was looking at messages on the Facebook Live page. Now I've lost my train of thought. Should I put a note out on the Facebook group asking to see if anybody not on the board is willing to do that?
To do WordPress stuff?
To help with the website, yeah.
Didn't you already?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think we're going to have enough, I think, as a board, kind of just forming the organization and kind of hashing out a little spot in the wilderness, so to speak, that anything technical like that, unless somebody's literally like, yeah, I do that in my spare time, like definitely should just be delegated to somebody else, because it's going to put too much strain on everybody to where it's not going to be fun, kind of thing, you know, and then stuff starts not getting done and other stuff like that. So
plus it's going to go better if we can find someone who has that skill set, because it's more than just having like a good looking website. It's also like understanding, getting our website ranked, which I know nothing about, but surely in the organization understands SEO, which honestly, you can have a website that just has a picture of poop on it, and if they're really good at SEO, it will be at the top of the ranking, which is really like ultimately what matters.
Yeah, that's true.
So really what we're looking for is someone who's like very savvy in SEO. Even, I mean, we want them to make our website look good, but more than that, we want them to be good at SEO, I think. I don't know, that could be hard to find in a beekeeping community, but I think we should leverage as many avenues as possible.
I would be surprised if there is anybody there, but I would like to pick from our group first.
Yeah.
Brett Kozma, I've seen posts by him. I think he's out in West Texas. He does websites. He would be a good person to talk with.
What's his name?
I think it's Brett Kozma, Kozma. He does the website for Jason Smith, JC's Honeybees.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm sorry, I missed. Did we say we were going to pay this person, or were we talking about like it's a volunteer thing, or are we going to offer them like no dues needed if you do the website?
We can discuss it. I mean, to boil it down, a good professional website could cost money.
Yeah.
I personally, what I would like to do is get something up relatively quick and then come back in and tweak it to what we really want.
Yeah. And I also maybe long term that there needs to be a designated webmaster for the group.
I agree.
yeah, I agree too.
Should that be like not necessarily like a committee position? How would that work?
Honestly, most people that do website stuff that I've talked to like doing stuff on their own. They don't want to work with a committee.
Right. But I mean, like, would it be like, okay, so it would just be like, I guess what I'm asking is, would it be like someone in the organization manages it indefinitely, or it's like a rotational position, or we're just like, you know what, we're going to spend some of our funds that we collect to have the professional do this for us?
I think if we have somebody in the organization that can do it, well, whether they're a bee remover or not, I think we need to focus on getting somebody who is technically able to do it correctly. That, to me, that's the key thing. Yeah, Ed, and I can never pronounce his name correctly. Vish just said we should outsource it.
If we don't have anything else to add onto the website tree, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and then I'll do my action item before the next.
Okay.
Is there anything else you guys wanted to add to the potential menu tree first run ideas?
I don't know. I think that's a good starting point.
Okay, I'm stopping sharing. Okay.
There we go. Okay. Now I'm looking at everybody again.
Okay, so sounds like we have an action item that is coming out of this meeting where we need to find like basically the website person for the group, someone who's going to take that on. Is that correct?
Well, I'm willing to get it started, but I would like eventually to have somebody else take it over.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think you should have to do that long term. I agree with that.
Right. Well,
I guess you could, I don't remember if it was Rex or Brandon said like pitch it on Facebook and see if someone bites.
Oh, Ed says he'll work for beer. No.
yeah.
That's cheap. I would take him up on that.
I got a friend who makes bathtub beer. I bet he'll like that. And he's actually a beekeeper who does removals, by the way. Okay. Now he's laughing. Yeah. I don't think we have anything else on the list, do we?
I think the list is now complete.
Let's
Rex did bring up reviewing the stuff on Facebook if we wanted to cover this meeting.
reviewing the stuff on Facebook.
He said people made comments.
For the people.
Oh, that, yeah. Well, I was going to actually suggest, since everybody's actually watching the feed, is anybody on Facebook have questions for us or wanted us to talk about something that we haven't talked about? Ed asked, what did we do about dues? We decided to make them 20 for swarm removal people, 50 for professionals. I'm sorry. I just jumped out there and answered it.
Good, thank you.
And I'm sure this is going to be the next question Ed might ask. I'm going to get a membership application form developed here pretty quick and let the board look at it and let them approve it. And then we'll get it out so we can actually start having members join. That's actually a really good question. Carlos, I'll answer we'll talk about your question or your thing in a minute. Ed asked, where should we send the check? That's actually a good question because the membership application forms probably will come to me being the membership committee, and they're going to send the check with that. Am I going to then need to forward the checks to you?
I don't know. Should we have it to where people just pay online through PayPal and it just auto processes into Frost Bank? Might be the best option. I was a member of a club that did that. You paid online, and then it was like if you needed to pay in person with a physical check, you paid at the meeting. But that's trickier for this organization since we're never going to be physically meeting somewhere, or are we? I don't know. Well, certainly not anytime soon. Right. So I don't know how we would handle checks. That's tricky. Someone mail their check to a different location than the membership form. So I don't know.
That's a big delay too.
How far apart are y'all from each other?
I'm in Austin. He's in Brand College Station, so we're about 3 hours.
Oh, is it that far?
Yeah, you're South Austin. That's right.
Yeah.
You know, actually, I don't have to be on the checking account to make deposits.
Right.
I can take the checks to Frost Bank and deposit them here.
But the other thing is, I think like the checks would basically be held. And okay, so like, let's say someone submits membership form, we should have it so they can submit online and they should submit payment online, or they could mail, could be another option. And if they're going to mail it to or whoever the membership is that year, then you already said like we're going to have this like holding. I mean, you know, the checks won't get deposited till the board like approves membership anyway. So
Right.
Okay, yeah. So I guess, and if membership forms are being mailed, the membership director would have to deposit those specific checks, I think.
Yeah, but I don't, like I said, I don't have to have a authority in the account in order to make
Right.
deposits.
We
I
just
just go
need
through the drive-through and hand it to them.
we would just need a way for me to document at the meetings, like
Well, I can always,
any checks that, so I could,
yeah,
for
I
the
can always,
treasury records, any
Right,
checks that were going that route. That's
I was
fine.
going to suggest just taking pictures of the checks
Mm-hmm.
and emailing them to you.
Okay.
And then the same thing with the deposit slips.
Okay. Yeah, I'm fine with whatever system we decide.
A couple
We
of
just
people are
need to have a
talking about
system.
online payment methods. PayPal certainly works. The thing about PayPal is they charge.
Are there other online methods? I am like not up to date with online stuff at
Venmo
all.
is actually
Okay.
owned by PayPal and it's
Okay.
free, but Venmo does not, it's supposed to be like friend paying for friend.
That's what I thought. It's like a
Not supposed to be
peer-to-peer
used for
network.
businesses.
Right. Yeah.
We
Venmo.
could use Venmo, but they might shut it down. They shut down my club's Venmo because
Yeah, I was gonna say, because I don't know that I've ever seen where you like went to a website and were able to like pay on a website for Venmo. Like I think there's like, security things possibly, I don't know. The SSL or whatever those certificates are that always pop up, like this is secure payment online.
well, I mean, we actually have done that on my website or
Okay.
on my club's website because
Okay.
we had people register for the B School
Okay.
online and then pay with PayPal, and basically it takes them to PayPal's site. So
Right.
PayPal is already secured. A couple of people decided are asked about using something like Zeal or Cash App. The problem with those is that those are tied to a specific cell phone number.
Oh yeah, that won't work for the org.
I mean, we'd have to get like a organizational owned cell phone number.
Cell phone. Yeah.
I don't think we want that expanded.
Yeah, and we had talked about we don't want a complaint hotline.
Yeah.
That's Michael's number.
That's right. I forgot you guys decided that. Poor Michael.
We can definitely set it up to use PayPal and Venmo to start with.
Okay.
It's just that I think the reason Venmo shut down my club is because we were running our B School through it, and we had about $12,000 in a single month. And that's where it kind of raised some red flags for him.
But
Carlos said Zeal is bank to bank.
I'm thinking that our organization would have the same problem because our yearly dues are going to be due in 1 month of the year. So like 80% of people are going to like pay in whatever month,
Right.
January 1st. And then, maybe 20% other people join throughout the year type thing. So it's probably going to trigger the same.
We
type
may
of
look at
flags.
doing Zeal too, because
Okay.
Zeal, I think it's Zelle, is bank to bank.
Okay, so I guess this falls
okay,
on me
that's
as
all.
a treasurer, and I don't know anything about. I've never heard of Zeal. How do
Zelle.
you spell it?
Bronx does Zealy or Zelly or whatever it's called. They do that. That's how I actually like pay my rent. Yeah.
Wait, say that one more time. How is it spelled?
Zelle.
LLE. Okay, so I need to look into
That's actually run by the banks.
Zelly.
So
and
when you go to open the
PayPal.
account, ask them about Zelle.
Okay, I will ask Frost Bank about Zelle.
Ask Frost Bank about Zelle.
Okay.
Yeah, mention to the person that is opening your account. Say, hey, we've got members that are going to be paying online. What options do we have that the bank can, make it easy for us?
Yeah, the bank may have options that we hadn't thought of.
Buttons that they can click that'll give them a Zelle link to securely make a payment.
That sounds
Or
really good.
PayPal
Also,
or whatever.
okay, so I'm gonna look into Zelly and PayPal. And it sounds like I'll need to work with whoever's ever running our website to get the payment stuff linked up. Okay, got that action item on. Okay, I'm good with that.
I got you. Ed said that Zelle like Zell. Yeah, okay. Zell can be tied to an email address, not a cell number. So it can be tied to treasurer at
Okay.
TXAPBR.
Yeah, I like that.
.org.
Tie.
That actually is what it should be tied to. Treasurer at TXAPBR.org. Which,
Do we have that set up yet?
yeah, those are set up.
Okay.
If somebody emails treasurer, it goes to you. If somebody mails president, it goes to
Oh.
Rex,
Okay. Cool.
etc. I didn't mention that to anybody yet, but yeah, those are working. And Zelle has no fees. I like that too. Hey, Carlos
That's
asked a
nice.
question a minute ago about grandfathering. And I kind of wanted to just answer it here, or maybe let me just put my 2 cents in, and everybody else can throw their part out too.
You go ahead.
The grandfathering, nobody's grandfathered, but it's not a big deal because there's multiple ways of vetting whether or not you get a membership. And one of those ways is have other professional bee removers vouch for you. Did that make sense? Is that essentially what it is, Rex? I didn't want to paraphrase it too badly.
Yeah, I don't have the bylaws open, but I think that was one of the things that we had talked about. Actually, I do have them open.
Yeah, that's in the vetting procedures document.
Oh, okay.
It's number oh, actually, I don't see that.
Okay, signed affidavit of 5 or more specialist members. Affidavit must be the length of time the members has known the applicant, as well as testament of the professionalism. I don't know if 5 may be a lot, especially if it's somebody in a rural area. I don't know. What do y'all think?
Well, that's why we did C in there too. These are either or. They can do any of these choices. I think the reason that I remember this discussion now, the reason we didn't just have 5 other professional people was because Voldemort might get his 5 friends to sign a letter to him.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, I don't foresee someone like that even wanting to join. I don't really think that's going to be a problem, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
And
Well,
if it ever did, I mean, if we had some kind of crazy rogue member like that, I think it would be the most appropriate place to rein that person in a group setting like that. You know what I'm saying?
well, the other side of this is that just because they do that doesn't mean we have to accept the membership. These are just applications, and it still has to meet board approval. And so the board can look at somebody's applications and say, no, we know this person, and that's a no.
But that's true. But that's why I'm saying that the criteria needs to be crystal clear, because at that point, let's say they meet the criteria and then it's just nepotism at that point. We're saying we know this person and they meet the criteria and we're violating our own criteria to say no. That's why I was saying, like, the criteria has to be so clear, because we won't be able to do that. Like, if they meet the criteria.
Well, except they're claiming the criteria, here they're claiming they meet the criteria without actually agreeing to it. Because part of, okay, like if this person in particular were to fill out the application, part of this also says, let's see, indicate the type of membership. They agreed to abide by the bylaws and code of ethics. That person has already proved they're not abiding by the code of ethics. That's how we say no.
Okay, that's fair.
Wait, run that by me one more time.
Okay. let's say Voldemort got 5 people to sign a letter.
Yeah.
The reason the board can still say no is because the signature on the application, per the vetting application form, or the vetting criteria, number 2 says they agreed to abide by the bylaws and code of ethics. And they've already proven that they're not.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I follow you. Yeah.
So that's how the board can, that's how it's not nepotism, and the board can legitimately say no.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like you said, Brandon, I don't think that's going to ever happen.
I don't either.
If it does, it may happen once, and
Well,
that'll be the end of it.
Yeah, there's also the very on definitions of Article 3, column number 8 is colony removal professional. The very last line of that is comma and receives monetary compensation. And the person that we're thinking about is all about the free removals to the public.
Yeah, and I would like to receive monetary compensation and be even more like clear than that, because some people are like, I'm donation based. Like, to me, that's not like monetary compensation.
It isn't. And I know that you weren't part of the previous discussions, but that was actually expressly discussed. And
Okay,
you're right, those people are not
It's not
being
professional.
paid.
Yeah.
I like that, Rex. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So what other comments did that generate?
Oh, I think it's also very important to say that anybody that's on our list too needs to, here's a really interesting question. What if the person that's on our organization or in our organization needs to do the removals themselves? They do not outsource them.
Yes.
That prevents us from being used by somebody like Atkins or another lead removal service. And also, but let's say that I hire some people and I get to take on an apprentice and I hire somebody to work from underneath me. I could say that you could expand that to then say people under your direct employment possibly or something like that. But then they wouldn't necessarily be on there. Only you would, I guess.
Yeah, I don't feel like it should cover your employees. Like, they want to apply, they can apply too. And then
Yeah.
I don't know.
Article 4, Section 1 membership says shall consist of individuals which are engaged in removing bees.
Mhm.
Yeah. Sort of like if a doctor's board certified, it doesn't mean that everybody they practice with is certified as well.
Exactly.
That's true.
Mhm.
It's not the practice. Yeah.
Yeah, that membership is for the person on that application, not for a company.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Yeah. Do we have more questions from Facebook?
Just Ed and Carlos are still talking about, I'm not sure what Carlos is coming with. He said it can appear dictatorial, but I don't know what part he was talking about.
Carlos, can you clarify? He can hear us, right?
I don't know what kind of delay it's got.
He was asking who's going to vet someone like me or Steve Butler or Mark Lockhart. Steve, I can answer
think Steve
Butler.
is like gonna give everyone knows him.
I've worked with Steve Butler.
I've worked with Steve.
And Steve has worked with 5 or 6 other people.
Yeah, Steve trained me. Like, everyone knows Steve.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only people that really get stuck are the people who have never worked with anybody. They've only been by themselves. And I actually don't know too many people like that. I mean, like I said, Scott Turner taught me how to do my first one. You know, I've worked with Kyle Patterson and Steve Butler and David Mo Kelly And I'm trying to think of who else I've worked with. But I'm not sure what you mean by had to do with approval, Carlos. Ed, yes, we're talking about how we vet.
I mean, even someone who's not well networked, like you said, who's working on their own, they can pull like their customer referral list or their customer, not referral, that's not the right word, but you said like, I mean, there's option C, which is like your customers say like, basically your reviews. You can pull your reviews up for paid jobs. So if you've never worked with anyone, but
yeah, that's true. The option C is still out there for those people. They just get their customers to sign off on it. And, 5 customers for people that do professional removals, that's what, a couple of weeks? Well, maybe not in January, but I just posted the link to the, that's to the bylaws. I'm sorry. That's the wrong link. Well, y'all might want that one too. To the vetting process page.
Is that usable?
I thought it was.
But if anyone has dedicated their business and they can have their customers put reviews there.
Well, Carlos, in the meetings, one of the big things that we discussed is how do we keep people out like Voldemort? Because to quote one of Justin Russell, who's now our club president, he said, I don't want to be in a club that would accept him or an organization that would accept him. And neither do I. And I don't think most people would want that. So it's trying to think of ways to vet without involving other people.
that's option C. Oh, yeah, they're gonna have to
Well, that's the customers that, I mean, they deal with their customers anyway.
Carlos is saying that he wouldn't ask his customers because he thinks it makes it look unprofessional and inexperienced.
I ask all my customers for reviews.
Okay.
That doesn't mean they all give it, but I ask it. I mean, you ever wonder how people have like 300 reviews online? They ask their customers for a review. Like they ask every single customer.
Yeah. I mean, I get reviews on my Facebook page, whether I want them or not. And typically people who go to Facebook to review you aren't happy. So I have like 4.
Sponsorship might be best. Sponsorship is, we talked about doing that as one of the training options too, is, for someone who's training a new member or somebody up and coming, we talked about the possibilities of a current member training.
And then kind of vetting them after a certain amount of time and vouching for them.
Yeah.
Is that what you guys are saying? Okay. So that's not currently on the list of options. So that would need to be like an added option. Is that what you're saying?
Okay. D.
Is it D? Okay.
Yeah.
It must have gotten left off then, because I know we talked about it last summer.
Did you guys agree to it then, or did y'all just kind of like talk about it and not agree?
Yeah, this document is not bylaws, so it does not take the same level of input to change and modify.
So what does this document require to modify?
Vote approval of the board.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, for everybody on Facebook, I found the link to the vetting procedures document. Posting it now.
So especially if we are going to be having like a training part to our organization, which we are because we have a chair position for that, or a board member position for that. I do think that having an option D that outlines like the criteria for like, okay, basically you get sponsored, you're like mentoring with someone for a year, you have to do X amount of removals with them, and you know, they're basically overseeing you and vouching you, and they have to be a member in good standing of the org, you know, something to that effect. Like, I think that's yeah, definitely another reasonable way to like get vetted personally.
I would even loosen that a little bit and say you don't necessarily have to do all the jobs with them. As long as, I mean, okay, I'm going to take Carlos since he's the one posting. I've seen pictures of his jobs for years. I know just based on the pictures that he does good work.
Mhm.
I wouldn't have a problem sponsoring him if he doesn't have 5 other people who would want to sign a letter.
But we're not really talking about someone like Carlos in this instance, right? We're talking about someone new who's like trying to gain the experience.
Oh,
is my
yeah.
understanding.
No, if somebody didn't have the 3 years of experience, I think we're talking about 2 minor different things. One is, what do we do for somebody who is experienced, who has a lot of professional stuff, but who says, I just don't work with other people.
Okay.
Um,
I would think in that instance,
how do we get those people vetted?
Wouldn't they already be known kind of within the community though?
Yeah, but how do we word be well known in the community?
I think that's the idea. Like you said, like 5 people vouch for them. Like you said, you've never worked with him, but you would vouch for him regardless, right?
Well, as a probationary thing, but yeah.
Maybe that could be another option, having
And that's what I think he's asking for.
it's not a bad request.
You know, we in other meetings we had talked about the other thing that you're talking about, Brittany, where like somebody just does swarm removals and they want to move up to be a professional.
Mhm.
That's when they do their apprenticeship with somebody, learning how to do it and all that stuff. And that's the training and the educational aspect.
And there was a bit of that I had mentioned at the time of, hey, I work alone. I don't want to train my competition. But at the same time, how do we promote the industry of being professional?
Well, I don't think you should have to be forced to train someone if you don't want to. Like,
oh no, absolutely not. You know, somebody who's wanting to move up from being a swarm person to a professional would need to find their own
trainer, I guess.
Yes.
Okay, so then it sounds like we need 5 options. We need a D if we're going to go with the apprentice type of thing, and we need an E, which covers what I think what you're saying Carlos is asking for. But I'm still a little unclear what he's asking for, but it sounds like you have a clear idea of it.
Well, not totally clear because I'm just reading it off of Facebook.
Okay.
So there's always that danger.
Do you want to ask him if he wants to call into the Zoom so he can like get on
hey,
and
Carlos,
ask real time?
Can you join the Zoom meeting? Ed, you can too. The link is on the page just above this. Okay, Carlos is not necessarily asking to change it. He's just making suggestions. Let's see. The code is.
Meeting ID is 821-8412-4882.
Yeah, but there's a code that goes with it too. Oh, I know where to find it. Let me get to it. The code, the passcode is 870-254. I think Ed is joining, maybe.
I think Carlos says his apprentice.
Yeah. He's got somebody to vouch for him. Well, is Ed joining us or no?
Hey, Carlos and Ed, y'all have 5 minutes to join and ask these questions before the meeting wraps.
Ed says he tried.
The meeting's not coming up?
I saw Michael was watching a minute ago. Michael,
Oh,
show up next week and we'll show you what your duties are now.
well, we'll definitely, I think there's, well, let me ask everybody else. What do y'all think about adding a D for what was he calling it? Probationary period, that sponsorship.
Would that be something where it's has to be signed off on by a director or something, or we need to figure out the technicalities of how that would work.
Yeah.
Sounds like that would be to be
And we're-
defined. And maybe we should give that an action item to somebody to define it and propose for like next meeting.
Actually, now that I think I know where Rex, you were headed with this. I think if a board member wanted to sponsor somebody as a vetted member, then that person would be accepted, well, still pending the rest of the board's approval. It's still just an application.
Right.
But
Hey, sorry about that. My phone cracked. I had to plug it back in.
that would be the D way of getting it. So A, B, C, or D, you're sponsored by an existing board member as being vetted.
Okay, Carlos says sponsor must have some sort of tenure. So maybe not necessarily a board member, but a tenured member. I don't know. It's something to discuss and figure out.
Well, we need to be careful about just saying years of experience, because Voldemort's got years of experience.
Yeah.
Presumably, people on the board are going to have tenure enough. That code didn't work yet? Oh, yeah, Carlos, I agree. You can't sponsor if you're new. That's why I said a sponsor has to be a board member. Well, Ed, we only have 3 minutes left in this Zoom call anyway, and it's going to cut us off.
So
what do
Carlos
y'all-
and Ed, you guys, it sounds like you'll still have some pending questions. We should have a mechanism for them to be able to like summarize those questions for us to be able to discuss. Like there's pending things that need to still be discussed, it sounds like.
You know, I think anybody can send the email to that board list that we created.
Okay. So I guess that includes, if you can hear what I'm saying, like, if we have not accurately addressed the questions you guys had, can you guys email or post on Facebook or whatever makes sense, so that we can open this discussion the next board meeting and properly address what y'all are
There's Ed.
wanting asked or wanting addressed.
Ed is deep in the shadows.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, it's super dark.
Okay, actually, I think, Carlos, we could do board member or a 3-year member. Yeah, I think a 3-year member might be okay.
Ed, can you hear us? I see you online, but I don't know that we can hear you yet.
He's dropping in and out. All right, now you're muted, Ed.
You're on mute.
Unmute.
Ah,
There.
How's that?
we hear you.
Yee-hee.
You have
Awesome.
about 60 seconds.
What's that?
You have
I
about
got
60 seconds for the Zoom meeting ends.
Yeah.
Nice. Let's see. So I guess the most critical thing right now on my mind is getting everybody, like the first initial core group, everybody vetted, everybody approved members. How are we going to do that?
The
ahead,
membership
Brittany.
committee, right?
Yeah, well, I'm gonna get the membership application form out like
Okay.
a week or so, and we'll send it out, and hopefully everybody will be able to send it in, and we'll get those processed as fast as possible.
Okay.
I'm expecting these 99% of them to be that core group that you're talking about.
Right.
You know,
I mean,
you
just
and Carlos and Jennifer and those people like that.
Mark.
Yeah.
Ed, would you like to volunteer to be a member of the membership committee?
Absolutely.
Yeah, actually,
There you go. You have one member.
we need
Yay.
3 more.
Need 3 more. Got your first
No, we
member,
might
Chris.
actually get Carlos too.
Okay, so we need 3 people to be a part of the membership committee.
3
We
more.
need
Yeah.
5 total. I'm
5
1,
total.
you're 2, so we need
Okay.
3 more.
Oh, copy that. Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So we're a minute over.
Okay.
Secretary, timekeeper secretary. Brandon. You should call us. Call us for time.
Okay, yeah, I would say at the time it is 9.
Right.
Yeah, I guess when the next meeting should be then in February on, let me get the calendar up here. Let's see, we're gonna do, I guess doing this still the second Wednesday.
Yeah, second Wednesday, and
the
Michael
10th.
Lopez said that was a good day.
Okay, so
February 10th.
that's good. Good for everyone. Okay, so it sounds like then we Chris, you have your first volunteer, and then you're gonna
I
post to
think I have a
Facebook.
second one. Carlos
Okay, great.
just said yes too.
I think you're gonna have 5 pretty easily. So maybe
think
we
so.
should have discussed that bit where if you have more than 5 people volunteer, what happens?
I take the first ones.
Absolutely. Take the first 5.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess yeah, Brandon will post notes and that's a wrap. We'll meet second Wednesday of February, yeah?
That's
Correct.
the 10th.
Second Wednesday of February.
Yeah, second Wednesday of February is our regular board meeting.
Okay. All right. I'm going to put that on my calendar. Awesome.
I'll share that with you too. About the calendar.
Yeah.
Well, thank you
Who is-
everyone for showing
Who
up.
is in charge of putting what was discussed today out to Facebook, or is that happening?
Well, since we streamed it live, we don't need to. It's already there.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
Yeah, Facebook is not an official platform for the group. We used it because it was convenient for
Yeah.
starting things, but
Right.
it is not necessarily an official platform.
Okay.
We've got our documents, so if we've got the live stream that can be saved. I don't know.
Okay.
Well, the official platform for discussions is a topic for another meeting.
There we go. All right. Thank you,
Sounds
everyone,
good.
for showing up and for giving our input. We've got a good start.
I like
So-
it. Okay. I'm
All right, guys.
gonna stop the recording now.
All
Bye,
right.
guys.
All
Bye.
right. Hey,
Thank
y'all have a good evening. All right. Take care.
Good night.
Good night.